Is there anything in it?
Baby, I mean, I know that you're here with me and everything, but since you just left a few hours ago, I've just been going crazy. And I done come to realize one thing. Oh, baby, I miss you. Some kind of drug, baby, 'cause it just keeps on calling me, and I just need a hit of your love. It's got me shaking and feeling for your touch, baby, of you I can't get enough. It feels like I done OD'd on you, babe. I'm addicted for you. Can't stop loving 'cause I can't get enough of you, babe. 'Cause I'm so addicted to you. This must be love. 'Cause I can't get enough of your loving. I'm so addicted. Can't stop. I need you right now, baby. 'Cause I'm so addicted to you. You're always on my mind, every day. It's been too long since I had you in my arms, and I don't know if I can take any more of being without you. Even though it's only been an hour, it feels to me just like forever. And I am hoping that I can see you soon. I'm so addicted. Lord have mercy. I can't be without you, baby. 'Cause I'm Oh no, not for a minute, not for an hour. I can't get enough. I'm so addicted. Ooh. I need to check myself into some kind of rehab. 'Cause I need some help. Somebody help me, please. Please. Ooh. La 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 la. I need to testify this evening. Oh Lord, have you ever loved somebody so much that you just can't get them off your mind? Oh, I'm so addicted. Oh Lord, 'cause I can't stop loving you, my baby. Oh darling, I love you, I love you. This must be love. I've been overdosed on your loving. Can't stop loving you. I done overdosed on my baby. So addicted to you. Without you, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Ooh, oh, I'm addicted.
WIIFTBP.
You are listening to the most dangerous show in the morning. This is What's in It for the Black People Radio. Maze Jackson, the most vociferous advocate for black people in the world.
For Ruthie Moore, for Todd Stroger, I am the host of the Maze Jackson Show, asking every single day, what's in it for the black people? And if you don't like it, you can still tell them Maze said, Mayor Lightfoot, man, we ain't accepting that. We ain't accepting that. Let's go. Yeah. Let's get down to business and go ahead and address the facts, man. Lightfoot seems more lesbian than black. Rahm Emanuel's another case. He was just as tired. 50 closed schools left much to be desired. Police had Anjanette naked on that body cam. They suppressed the footage so it couldn't touch a lot of hands. Reminds me of that 16 shots in that cover up. Both of them similar, so I went and dug it up. George Floyd killed, a lot of riots happened in the town. Southside burned and they wouldn't let them bridges down. Grandmother sick, need a prescription and plus a couple groceries. You gon' have to travel just to get it now. COVID-19 out here shutting all the business down. Not enough SBA loans to even give around. So many failed businesses that you can put them in the pile. If you don't survive the pandemic, it's gonna sit you down. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks. Shout out to Willie Wilson, hope one day you get to send it. We need some different players in the game to handle business. Too many shady characters like Madigan and Blago. But when you really break it down, it's typical Chicago. City full of gangsters, it's what the land was built on. Same streets with hood legends, DNA get spilled on. Carjackers out here lurking, trying to get they steal on. Looking for a block to put them Hellcat wheels on. Let us give bogus appraisals a red line. Car crackers out here getting minimal fair time. And I'm concealed carry, I stay with the pipe. But Illinois gun laws giving minimal rights. Stay up on the swivel, make sure I'm moving tight. Check all of my mirrors when I pull up to the light. Pick my homie up from out of town, man, he caught a flight. He was hella nervous, told him, shorty, this a way of life. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks.
Good morning, sunshines!
There's no sun outside.
It's a bright, shiny day.
Good morning. Good morning. Good
Happy
morning.
spring, Doctor.
Happy spring. Thank you. It is
Good
officially
morning.
spring.
Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning, Reese.
Good
Go,
morning,
DJ.
Good morning, good morning.
That's my DJ. Look,
I heard you had a
early in the morning.
birthday. You had a birthday.
Yeah, it's 2 days ago.
It's still your birthday.
It's always your birthday.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Every
I'm
day.
riding out. Usually I go on vacation this the following weekend so I can milk it all in. But now I'm actually staying in town this weekend.
Oh, well, I'll go out of town for you.
Yeah.
I'm
Where are
going
we
out.
going? Let's go.
Well, I'm going to Florida at the end of the month. It's my
Nice.
birthday month too, Reese.
Is
By the
it?
way,
No,
we
yours
share
When
this.
is your birthday?
My birthday is International Women's Day,
Nice.
March 8th.
March, the big day.
That's right.
That's the big day.
The actual
Women's Day, Women's Month.
Yeah.
Funny thing, we're here
That's right.
in the big dub takeover.
That's right.
Oh,
Women's
good morning,
Takeover.
Maze. I'm sure he's watching.
Good morning, Maze. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Twitch, Twitter. What else we on?
Twitch, Twitter, Flickr,
Instagram.
all of it.
Good morning, social media.
I've lost track. It's a lot of social media.
It is.
And
It
we're on
is.
all of it.
We famous.
Listen, you know how it feels to sit in him's chair?
Come on now.
Okay. I'm in him's chair
In him's chair.
on his show.
Went him downstairs.
And you know he's probably rolling up. His nerves probably shot. It's 6:02. His nerves was shot.
Are they on time? We were here. Let me just say.
We absolutely were here.
I pulled up early.
Yeah, I
Yes.
pulled up later than early.
But it was earlier than
But
early.
it was earlier than the time.
That's right.
But
We
you
were
know,
having
we
a
had to
little
do our
technical-
own Clorox in my granny's voice. I use Clorox.
There you go.
In my
And
granny's
last
voice.
off.
Today is the second day of spring.
It
spring,
is.
Spring has sprung.
And happy 22nd to all of my sorors.
Oh, what's that? Is that
Sigma
are you-
Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
Oh gosh, I felt like I was in an episode of Bring It On. Just, oh my gosh, Sigma. I felt like I wanted to do a cheer when you did that.
That's all good though.
Welcome to my sorrows. All of the ones who've never pledged.
Okay, come on. Happy 22nd to y'all too.
22. Reese, are you going to do weather or anything like that?
Indeed.
Okay, well, what you got for us? Because we gonna get. I feel sorry for you right now, because
I'm
this subject, it's Women's Month,
It is.
and so we've been watching the show. And y'all been talking about some heavy stuffs, brother. These codes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to crack the code to the lottery, but among other codes. But I've cracked the code to a couple cell phones in my life. I've done a few things.
Come on, hacker.
But real talk, they didn't have a name for it when I was doing it, but it technically is a hacker now. But we decided today, Reese, that we want to talk about the W code.
That's right.
Do you know what that is?
The weather code.
The weather code
That's a good segue for the weather.
See that? I knew.
Mm-hmm.
could be something like that. The Windy City code.
What you got for us in the city that always changes?
Well, it's going to be cold 1 minute and hot the next. Here. You know how it is here, man. It's 70, 40, 70 again. I mean, you don't know what it is. Rain and snow.
There
For
you go.
sure,
Today's going to rain for sure.
They said 88% chance of rain.
Oh, wow. Okay. 88. That's pretty certain.
And yeah, that's like for real. But then, it is Chicago, and the weather's like the politics. It's real fickle around these parts.
Very much so.
But no, Reese, we're going to talk about the woman code. Because when we had our brainstorming sessions yesterday, we decided that we're not sure if all women know the code. And if the women that don't know the code are sharing that code with their daughters.
Absolutely.
And the
and
daughters
their nieces and their
Uh,
other women in their lives or young ladies in their lives.
Yeah. And the village is lost.
It is.
And so, Reese.
And I would say, too, I think when we talk about how do you repair a community, which is something we talk about every day, right? Which
And if we don't, we should.
We should, right? Women are an integral part of that.
Well, here's the thing. Here's two things. we give birth to everything living
There you go.
in human form. And so, therefore, we're not an integral part. It doesn't happen without us.
There you go.
So our codes actually pre-exist any other ethnic code because woman gives birth to all ethnicities.
That's right. And women are caregivers,
Absolutely.
right? And they're the teachers and nurturers often in most circumstances,
Absolutely.
right? Because I do got to give big ups to my dad who raised me. But,
For sure.
but there, there still were very influential women in my life. And so you have to be able to kind of pass those unspoken words, those unspoken actions, those unspoken things out. And I don't even know if I do it, Like when I was talking about this with my daughter, she was like, what's a code? I felt bad. I was like, damn. I mean, oh, yeah. It's not the church time, yeah.
Well, first of all, we forgot to introduce ourselves.
Oh, shucks. I'm married. No.
I'm Ruthie. And we don't have to introduce Todd because he won't be here till 9:10 anyway.
Look.
Shots fired. I am Dawn Millhouse, Book of Dawn, back in the building.
Yes, and I am Dr. Audrey Tanksley, co-host or was a double co-host of Inhale Exhale, and we were all once on the what's in it for the Black People Media. Come on, WIIFTBP Media.
Yes.
And in real life, I'm a doctor.
And I play one on TV. And after today, when I'm sitting between two doctors, I'm coming home. I'm leaving here with doctor.
We're gonna just like crown you with your doctorship.
Because can you just give me an honorary? Can I have an honorary WIIFTBP medium doctorate?
Why not?
Is that a thing?
Oh, can I do another one? I'm
Sure,
sorry.
sure.
Shout out to and rest in peace to my soror, who is an honorary member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
Nice.
Mary D.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, she was a lady of blue and gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And a
beautiful
queen
lady.
Indeed. Man.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, we sit in a seat she sat in when it wasn't. Yeah. Again, the woman, the beginning. Yeah. And shout outs to Lisa E. She lost her mom last week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep. She lost her mom, and it was really sudden.
Oh.
She went to the hospital, and she wasn't going to the hospital like terminally ill. She went to the hospital with thinking she was coming home, and it happened pretty quickly.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a lot.
It's rough.
It is.
It's rough. I'm blessed. I still have my mother and father.
Yeah.
So
me too, actually.
Yeah,
that is a blessing. You got to cherish that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
For sure. So sorry, take that little condolence moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was important.
Moment of silence. And it's only, Riis, we're very early because it's only 5:19.
Come on, daylight savings. We just decided that we're not changing clocks around this place.
Right. We're in the beautiful mind anyway.
Maze don't believe in colored people time.
No, not period. That's when all his black code come off because he is very, if you're on time, you're late.
There you go. So look, he said, I'm not changing the clock.
Because he already knows how people gonna do early. Right. Exactamundo.
In case you didn't know, people, the clock here in the WIIFTBP studio says it's 5:20. So thank you for getting up so early in the morning to be with us.
We appreciate that.
We love all of you guys.
Hey, listen. So Riis, oh, hold on. This is Dr.
Somebody in the chat is actually talking about my hoodie, Think Outside the Block. Yes. So, look, let me do a little something real quick. It's not Friday. It's not Tell Me Something Good Friday or Tell Me Somebody Good Friday. But I had actually reached out to Brother Sadiq to see if he wanted to sit in with us today. He was busy. So, shout out to Brother Sadiq, who, making some money.
Out there making some tasty vegetables.
Yes, indeed. So, he texted me like, hey, go check out my
Riis, can we resend the link? She can't find it. Please.
Yep, let's get that business together. So he texted me and it was like, hey, check out my this grocery store. They have my products in there.
Dope.
So he's got some potato salad and some crab salad.
No way.
Yes, way.
That's huge.
It is very huge, and it's actually at a little grocery store on 63rd and Racine. It's Fresh Market. It's a new
it
market
just
over there.
opened.
You saw that? Okay.
You know what? Like 2 weeks ago, they had their
yes, they grand opening. And one of my good girlfriends from grammar school, Just Sandwiches, shout out to Karen Roberts, also has her sandwiches there. So I went there, She-Raw, to go grab the potato salad and the seafood salad, because I'm going to just throw it out here. If you need support, like I'm your girl, I will usually support. I was that girl that bought people CDs off the street and, you know, they mixtapes out their trunk. Like that was me, you know. So I will go support. So I went to the store, bought the potato salad, bought the crab salad, bought the Just Sandwiches, and then, you know, a couple other things. They got some sweet potatoes about as big as your head. It was very interesting. But I get to the counter, and they got the shirts. No, girl, these days, my phone, my wallet.
Right, true.
So, no, but they had these hoodies. And so Fatale, so, you know, again, I shout out everybody. But
that
shout
is
out
a dope
Inglewood.
sweatshirt.
Inglewood
Sweet
is,
16.
It's
Stephanie
where I was
Coleman.
Really from. That's right.
Yeah.
And my family grew up, you know, 57th to Ada. And so, the hoodies were there. And I've always seen the Think Outside the Block organization.
Okay.
I thought the sweater was dope.
It is super dope.
Thank you. And
what kind of organization is it?
So it's a community organization, and I ain't gonna lie, like I know everything they do.
Right. Well, I mean, you can kind of tell from the name that they're trying to broaden the perspective.
Yeah, I think they educate. I'm gonna look them up. Somebody tell me what they do. What they do.
The sweatshirt is fire.
Well, yeah, and I thought it was good to donate too. So.
Dr. Audrey is coming in hot, y'all.
And it's bright. I like bright colors.
It is bright, and Riis
like
is over here ready for war like the rest. And look, and we got lights. See what happens when you get to do the boss's show.
I know we never had lights on my show
ever. Matter of fact, I came in after him, and he would turn the light off. Jesus, am I lying, Riis? Am I lying? If I'm lying, I'm flying.
You got to say.
I'm like, hold. You know how you feel fancy. You're like, oh, this is TV.
Yeah.
And then about 5 minutes later, I'm like, it got really dark in here.
And you better bring your ring light. Put your ring light right here. Thank you. No, yeah, this is big time in here. You know, he got all the bells, the whistles, sound effects.
So listen, let's set this up, right? Yes. Because shortly we are going to have an esteemed guest join us, Dr. Carol Adams.
I'm looking
founder
forward to
and
that.
CEO of Urban Perspectives Incorporated, one of the nation's most esteemed educators. Like, when I tell you, have you ever had the honor, I consider it an honor, to sit at the feet of somebody who their knowledge base about womanhood and about culture and about business, and you get lost in that space. That's Minister Farrakhan. I sit there, I lose track of time.
Absolutely.
Sitting with people like Dr. Adams and Minister Farrakhan. And we called her yesterday, you and I, and she said we asked her if she would share a conversation with us about this W code.
That's right.
And she said, well, only if I can do it the old school way, because I don't know the new code, which let us know that we were being led in the right direction, right?
Absolutely.
So the woman code, I don't know what it is for y'all, but there's some
Actually,
rules.
I want to know, right? So get in the chat, share the video.
Good. Okay.
Right,
Yes,
share the
please.
lives first of all. We got to
Share.
set a little rules because this is the Maze Jackson show, and we have to keep it.
We got to keep his numbers right.
We got to keep some, because we don't want to get.
Yeah.
I will
Actually,
tell y'all what
I'm
he do.
competitive. We're going to beat the guys that was here
Come
yesterday.
on,
Like,
because
let's keep
they
it a
turned
buck.
up yesterday.
Oh,
I
They had, dare I say, they had more live viewers on Facebook than Maze has had in the last 2 weeks. I'm just saying. Shots fired again. Look at me, concealed and carry.
Look,
Concealed and
Dawn
carry.
is in the building. She is buckshot on everybody.
That's because I have only had 3 hours of sleep. So remember the plan about me going to bed early?
That didn't work.
We go to dinner. I'm blaming all of this on Mr. Millhouse. I hope he's watching. And if he's not, y'all tell him to get up and watch
He better
it.
get up and give us a number.
That's what he better
He better
do.
go
And
turn
back
on
to sleep.
every
And
TV and computer in the house.
And I
by
got
the way,
a million TVs. I love TV. I got a TV in every room. We go to dinner We have a great dinner. And then he says, you want to go to the cigar bar? So we're with a group of people. I'm like, I kind of don't, but I'm a rocket. It's early. It's still 8. And I'm like, yeah, I can go. Smoke one cigar, takes an hour, have another glass or 2 of champagne, and bounce.
Mm-hmm. We talked about that champagne.
What time do you think I got home? 12:30.
Oh, see, I was going.
And then I was like, oh, my gosh. I panicked. I'm like, I got to get up here. I start counting on my fingers. Oh, sharks. And so what had happened was I had 3 hours of sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to have to
Well, at least you got a little,
Yeah.
That's kind of enough to just knock off, that little bit of tired, that champagne feeling, alcohol, again, because I'm an addiction medicine doctor, you guys.
Well, you're going to have to help me with that one.
Well, not that you
I
have
love
an addiction. Not that you have an addiction.
I kind of do.
But that, okay, well, for sure.
do.
But one thing a lot of people don't know is, your liver can only process so much, right? So 1 drink per hour is all your liver can really process.
Does that apply to champagne?
Well, it depends on how many ounces, because it literally
gotcha.
is just 1 drink. And that's what that chart that kind of gives you all the equivalents, where it's like 1 shot. So if you had a double shot, that's 2 hours.
Gotcha. So that's how they come to when they do
Sober
your blood
time.
alcohol.
When they say you'll be sober by this time.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, what people don't realize is that nothing can sober you other than water and time.
And time.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you got to flush it.
And
but
water,
you still have to-
water will hydrate you,
Yeah.
so you don't feel horrible when
Yeah.
you're sober. But
Exactly.
time is really
And
all
you-
the sobering you.
And
How did we
listen,
get to this?
Because I was drinking. I've been drinking. I wasn't, the cigar gets you high.
Yeah.
So you go slower when you smoke
The
the
cigar.
cigar.
Well, it depends on what's in the cigar.
Yeah. Well,
It
I
might be.
wasn't black and mild. And it wasn't Cuban. It was somewhere in the middle. It was one of the girly joints. So this woman code, did we get her the link, boss? Okay, cool.
Perfect.
So you set us up.
Okay.
And then we'll take a break and bring her in.
Yes, and we'll bring in the church folks too.
Yes.
So the woman code, right? So first we want to kind of go to, and really want to ask you guys in the chat about, it starts as girlhood, right? In girlhood.
Absolutely.
So what is kind of those girl codes that are unspoken codes, right?
Absolutely.
And as we move forward, and really one of the places we looked at this more broadly was with the confirmation of Ketanji Brown Jackson, right?
Yes.
And so just looking at front page of every newspaper, her hearings have started. She's giving her, her testimony or whatever it's called. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. And our very own Lieutenant Governor went to Washington, is there to support, right? And so it's kind of opening up a larger thought for me and for us about, as we try to heal our community, as we really try to bring things closer together, how do women, and in this month, as we already said, of International Women or International Women's Day, but Women's History Month, what do we really need to bring, and what unspoken things do we need to have as women to really improve the health of our nation, I would say, but definitely of our communities, of our families, of our relationships with each other, right? Business and all aspects of life. So that kind of set that stage for me, because I thought, man, that's kind of nice that someone would go support her in that setting, right? And not just because she's Black, but also because she's a woman, right?
Absolutely.
I think we saw it a lot too, and we can kind of, a lot of people know my thoughts on this, but go back and forth about whether, how it's played out for us. But even when Kamala was elected, or even in the road to getting her elected, there was this push towards this sisterhood that many of us really didn't realize was kind of there.
Yeah.
And or it was trying to be created, and so I even think of that and say, like, man, now we got you there.
Yeah.
What's the code for you in that seat?
Well, let the sit. Welcome to the church. Amen. You just stumped me. But honestly,
Yes.
just on that, and not to belabor it, I feel like the confirmation hearings that are happening now, they seem a little bit more authentic. I feel like when we were supporting Madam Vice President, it was forced. Yeah. It almost felt forced, like it was commercial. Perhaps is what I should say.
Yeah.
And can we just support because that is one of the codes? If one of us has the opportunity to be in that seat, we don't have to create a hashtag. We don't have to.
It should be organic.
It should be the code.
Right.
That's
but
one
if
of
we
us.
don't know what that even is or looks like. So that's the conversation we're going to
That is the
have.
conversation.
We're going to take a quick break, folks. I can't say folks because they always think of folks.
Right. Them people.
People, black peoples, and friends and allies. We're going to take a break so that we can get our guest pulled in because she is an esteemed guest and we are excited to bring her here to have this conversation with us. We also going to welcome our radio friends and give y'all time to, get y'all morning libations. Maybe it's coffee, maybe it's mimosa, whatever it is.
Or communion. Amen.
Come on. Amen. You look grape juice.
I drink communion all night.
So Riis, take us to break real quick, and we'll be back on the other side.
The Maze Jackson Show will be back after this break.
If you're a business professional, have you ever wanted to multitask on your way to an important meeting instead of navigating through traffic? Fellowship Fleet Limousine and Bus Company is your solution for chauffeured ground transportation. Our company provides sedans, SUVs, stretch limousines, vans, and buses for corporate travel, airport transfers, and group shuttles. If you're a corporate travel manager, individual business professional, event or meeting planner, relax. Let us take the wheel. Visit fellowshipfleet.com to book right now.
I'm so glad that the Lord keeps on blessing. Y'all, I must say, every day He's making a way. Ooh, keep on blessing me. Blessed in the city, blessed in the field, even when you come and go. I'm so glad that the Lord keeps on blessing me. Y'all, I must say, in spite of, He just keeps on. Yeah, keep on blessing me. Oh, keep on blessing me, blessing me, blessing me. In spite of me, He keeps on blessing me, blessing me. I don't deserve it. He keeps on blessing me, blessing me. All the time, He keeps on blessing me, blessing me. Lord, we need you. Lord, we need you. Lord, we need you. Can't make it unless you. We need you to stop it. Come on and stop it. Do it every day, every hour. Come on and do it. Do it for us now. Somebody in a hospital, somebody down, don't feel too well, but bless us now. In the name of Jesus. Oh, please keep on blessing. That's what Grandmama said. Please. Oh, please. Yeah. Oh, please. Yeah. Keep on blessing. Keep on blessing me. While I'm driving the car. In the name of Jesus, thou son of David, keep on blessing me. Have mercy, oh God. Please don't ever stop. Please don't ever stop. When I'm disobedient, please don't ever stop. When I go against your will, please don't ever stop. When I turn away side, please don't ever stop. Oh, please. Lord, please. Lord, please. Please don't ever stop. Please don't ever stop. Please don't ever stop. Not just for me, but don't stop. Don't stop blessing my family. Don't stop blessing my friends. Even bless my enemies. Oh, please. Yeah, please.
And now, traffic and weather.
Yo, who said devotion had to be sad? Yo, check this out. The Lord is my shepherd, and I want. He's making me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restored my soul. God's gonna turn it around.
Come all the way with me. Don't leave me now. Come all the way with me.
Good morning. What's in it for the Black People Media family? The time is now 6:41 a.m. and I'm Riis, the ruler, with your Chicagoland area sports, traffic, and weather report. As we head over to sports, the Chicago Bulls 2-8 in the last 10 games, looking to get the ball rolling before the playoffs with only 12 games left. Hosting the Toronto Raptors, DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine each will score 26 as they win 113-99. Head over to traffic on the Kennedy. O'Hare to the Loop was 21 minutes outbound. To O'Hare will be 17 on the Edens. Deerfield to the Exchange and back will be 28 minutes. Eisenhower, Thorndale to the Loop, 31 minutes, 28 minutes back out to Thorndale. On the Stevenson from I-355 to the Dan Ryan and back will be 32 minutes, while the Bishop Ford is 33 minutes from I-80 to the Dan Ryan and 29 minutes to I-80. The Dan Ryan is 16 minutes to the Loop, 13 minutes to 95th. On DuSable Lakeshore Drive South will be 7 minutes and 8 minutes north. Today's weather is currently 54 and cloudy. Today will be a high of 57 with a low of 46. I'm Riis the Ruler. Now back to the Doc and Don show here on What's in it for the Black People Media.
There you go.
God is going to turn it around.
Yes, indeed.
I listened to that on my way.
I love the spirit up in here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good morning. And good morning, Dr. Carol Adams. Let me set you up. And then you can tell the people good morning. Dr. Adams is the founder and CEO of Urban Perspectives Incorporated. It's a consulting firm that specializes in programming and organizational development for entrepreneurs engaged in education, politics, cultural practice, and social awareness. This, for her, is her way of taking all of her experience and all of her knowledge and giving it actually to the conversation that we're talking about today.
Absolutely.
The codes.
That's right.
Past positions include being the president of the DuSable Museum, African American Studies at Loyola University, executive director, International House of Blues Foundation, and the secretary of Illinois Department of Human Services.
Oh, wow, that's a resume.
Yeah. We got, Riis, we have a little feedback.
Yeah.
Is that her? What should we tell her to do?
Is she playing in like in the background or something?
I'd ask her. I'm sure she can hear you.
Yeah, she can hear. Are you playing in the background?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
or just turn your volume down a little.
Turn the volume down a little bit.
So I'm gonna let her share more about. Remember, I told you, she's a mentor to me, and I feel blessed to have a woman of that knowledge, who loves our Blackness and teaches and instills that, but also teaches those codes.
Absolutely.
Right? From the old school perspective.
Yeah.
And so when we called her yesterday and said, hey, I know it's going to be early, but can you jump on this call with us? Because we need the direction of her to help figure our question of the day out.
We are solutions driven, just in case you guys didn't recognize.
For sure.
I think that's one of the things I wanted to, that we really wanted to bring as well too. We said, Maze has been doing a really good job of,
For sure.
of bringing these conversations out and making people really think outside of the block, outside of the box. And, but now it takes all of us to come with solutions, right? To actually address these ills that we know exist. And if we're not, we can't leave it to one person to try to, heal everybody, right? We all have to do our part. And so, just as you mentioned, she said yes without a second thought. Like, she was just like, yep, what time you need me there?
The earlier, the better.
The earlier, the better. I was like, really? Can you wake me up in the morning? But those are the kind of people that you need in your life and that you need on your team. And thank you for bringing us Black history and knowledge through the DuSable Museum and all of the other, areas. I mean, I'm sure studying African American studies at Loyola.
There you go again,
no
preacher.
more.
There you go again, Reverend.
Had to be something that brought you not only your own experiences, but probably, I'm sure, just kind of broadened your whole perspective on this thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Carol Adams, the Taurus. Look,
Good
we
morning.
got sound effects on this.
right.
Hey, a teacher at Loyola also brought me Melody Span Cooper.
All right.
Wow. Yeah.
She was a student there, as well as a number of other people that I had the best students there. Andre Grant, Winona Redmond, Ernie Sanders. It was just a lot of wonderful students at Loyola.
Yeah.
Dr. Adams, so tell us what you're doing currently before we jump in, because I want to make certain that we recognize what you're doing. You've done a life's work, but you're still working. And so what are you doing now, and how can we support you?
I have a firm called Urban Prescriptives. Not perspectives, it's prescriptives.
Okay.
I give out prescriptions. In other words, solutions. Okay. So I work with people who are looking for ideas, things to do, how to activate their organizations, how to make them relevant to the community. Community engagement is one of the major things that people retain me to do for them, for new ideas or to develop ideas for them.
I love that.
I am so in love with that.
That's that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
And
creative.
I love
love
the
it.
way that you do prescriptives.
Yeah,
right?
I like that.
Because again, like we said, solution. Right? You go in the doctor's
Exactly.
office, you want to walk out with something.
Yeah.
Most times, and usually it's some type of prescription. Although,
Yeah, you
if
wanna
walk
get
in
well.
my office, you're gonna get some knowledge.
Now that's actually really interesting, because our conversation today is about the code.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a generation, there's a gap in each generation is probably a better way to say it, that could use a prescription about these codes.
Absolutely.
And so I will just say this. When I sent the question out to some of my peers, and by that I mean some of the homegirls, some of the crew, do y'all know the code? I didn't give any. I just said, do you know the code? And ironically, all of them applied it to dating. Somebody that your friend dated, or dated somebody's former, and nobody went outside that box. When you asked your daughter,
I did.
different age,
Yes.
she applied it to something else.
She totally did.
Technology.
And so
probably.
when we
She
asked
probably
Dr.
said black
Adams,
girls' clothes.
can you talk to us about the code? Her answer was, the original code, because I don't know this new code. And so, Dr. Adams, if you would please share with our viewers and us when we posed that question to you yesterday, and again, thank you for being so gracious in less than a day's notice. What did you take from our question?
I took that it meant sisterhood, first of all. That's the basis of everything, is this strong feeling of sisterhood. You got me, I got you. And I'm not going to do anything to disrespect you, anything to devalue you. I'm going to do everything to lift you up. That's in relationships. That's in advice, whether you want it or not, whether you love it or not. Your girlfriend is going to tell you the truth at all times. The truth that may hurt, but it will heal, because it will tell you the things you need to know. And part of that respect is not doing something that would hurt the other person, and that extends into relationships. You know, I think what we see now that is a distraction from that is that our young women are being programmed for disrespect. Everything you watch, everything that it's about. I mean, I watch these shows that are supposed to be about people that are friends, and all they do is devalue each other the whole show. I mean, really? Would you have best friends that acted towards you like they do on some of these so-called reality shows? I mean, we know they're fake, but some people believe them. And some young people see them and think that's how we feel about each other. That's how we treat each other. And that it's okay to fight and argue and call each other names and go after each other's men and all the rest of that.
Yeah, we actually talked about that.
Yeah.
And we said they're learning their codes from your very statement. They're learning your codes from some television shows there, because they don't know how to make the distinction.
That's right.
Of reality and fake, fake
No.
reality. And the music.
And
We
music,
talked
that was
about
one
music.
of the biggest things that we
Yeah.
talked about, right? And how even the shift, I think I had even mentioned, like, I can remember, listening to Lil' Kim and, Foxy Brown and all of them, and it still was a very different feel to the I guess you call it kind of the exploitation, but to the just development, as opposed to some of the music you hear now. It's and I don't want to diminish it and say, oh, it's nothing, but it almost subliminally does change the way that you see yourself or the way that you interact with other women, right? It's almost like a competition. Like you said, fighting each other and, the Real Housewives and all that kind of thing. Like it was always my code, or at least what I thought was woman code. Like, you don't get messy in front of guys, like in the sense of like calling out your girls and putting them on Front Street. Like, you didn't do that in front of guys. Like, you would, pull them to the side, like, but now it's almost like, you just,
It's for sport.
it is for sport.
And it's for tearing people down, and it's for not knowing even any basic respect. I mean, listen, the other night they had a special honoring George Daniels, okay? And everybody was there talking about how wonderful he was and everything. And he said, let me bring my wife up, okay? Because she's really been there for me and this and the other. So the woman who is MCing said, yeah, let's bring up the boss bitch. Okay.
Wait a minute.
So,
You just what?
yes. So
Beep.
Regina comes on the stage and says, hey, first of all, you can't call me. I don't think I like you calling me that.
I know that's right.
Is that what Miss
Okay.
Regina said?
Yes, she did. And I
Good
was
for
so
her.
happy.
Good for her.
I was so happy. I said, now the chick thought she was being clever and cool, and it was hip, and it was all of that. And out of everything that she could possibly have called up from her vocabulary, that's what she decides to refer to Regina Daniels as. I'm so glad she checked her. I didn't know what to do.
Yes.
Okay, and so that's really, so I'm well taught by somebody who knew the code, okay? But let me just play advocate, and I'm not going to say the D word because I don't want to say that word out loud because I don't like saying his name and giving him.
Plus, he has enough advocates already.
Facts. But let me just say this. Whose fault is that? When somebody who is active in radio and public speaking enough to host an event has to be 21 plus because you wouldn't have been in the place it was at, feels that that's appropriate. Whose fault is it that she feels like that? Is it just her own, or is it the village's fault?
The larger collective.
Well, certainly she's been exposed to a number of things, but this is a grown blank woman that has to accept responsibility for how she is receiving everything that's out there, because there's a lot out there, but that doesn't mean you have to take it in. Doesn't mean you have to internalize it. I'll give her a slight pass for the industry that she's involved in that has made the use of that word to refer to us as a popular thing. But I don't care who likes it. It's not going to be anything I use. Yes. And certainly to introduce a woman of stature such as that, what made you that comfortable to feel like you could do something that was actually demeaning?
And that is really the crux of what we're talking about, because the code is lost.
It is.
The code that we understand the code to be.
And, I use the term boss a lot because but I usually say, like, the boss lady.
Most people that know the code do.
There you go. Right. Wow. I didn't even think about that. And you know what, but you brought up a good point that I want us to just dig a little deeper into. Either whose fault is that, or who's responsible for making sure that, not that we're always on code, but that you even know what that is. Because just as you mentioned, when I did ask my daughter, I threw it out to her, hey, the first thing she actually sent me back was, what's the code? And I was like, what's the code? Didn't I do my job as a mama? Like, you know what the code is, girl. Stop playing. But, it's almost like something that's not, it is unspoken, but so you just assume that you're doing it. But if we're not naming it, we're a people who kind of need names for things, right? And so if you're not naming it, like, this is a part of the code. And for me personally, I think it starts when you're a girl. There's the girl code, and those foundational codes build up to the W or the woman code, right? And so if you've never gotten it as a girl, you probably don't have a very solid foundation to build upon, right? And that girl code does usually start off with, like, don't sleep with your friend's boyfriend, or don't talk to anybody your girl's boyfriends and stuff talk to. But I do think that leads to the deeper of what Dr. Adams was saying of, we are a sisterhood to uplift each other.
Absolutely.
And
I think you have to see it. I think it's not just about it being told the code. It is about being showed the code. In other words, you experience it because you see it. You're part of it. You're part of this chain of women. You see your mother interact with her girlfriend. You got to play auntie and all of those other people that are in your village that are looking after you, but they're showing you through their practice. And what has happened is, if we get away from the rituals that have been associated with us as a people.
One of the comments, let me just share some of the comments. One of the comments says that I applaud sisters for coming, excuse me, I applaud sisters for coming together as one, but due to the climate and different ethnic groups coming into America, forming alliances among each, it's time for Black women and men to come together. We all know that Black women have always been the support beam of Black households, but if we put our differences aside with Black men, then we can create a better foundation. Now, I personally, that how you have the macro and the micro, that is absolutely the macro.
Absolutely.
But I would have to throw it back to the micro of we can't help anybody until we help ourselves.
Yeah.
And if the generation just under us if we're not, like Dr. Adams said, if they can't emulate us, and if they can't see it, they obviously cannot be it.
Absolutely.
Because their mind is focused on all of the social mediums and the distractions.
I think that also brings up too, and I'd love to hear Dr. Adams' perspective on this, because it hit on a couple different things, right? So that was kind of like the family, right? And building a bigger, more strong family unit, but also the differences. It almost begs the question, because somebody else in the chat had said too, that the girl code trumps blackness and unity. And so it makes me wonder, and I know we are all very learned women who have been in various different settings. Is there a woman code that transcends ethnicity?
Let me just hurry up and jump in that.
Come on,
Okay?
Doc.
Absolutely not. Okay, we are who we are within a particular context, and we don't exist outside of that. Our girl code is very much a part of our ethnicity. It is all of that, because it is our ethnicity that says to us who we are as women. All other groups don't necessarily function that same way in terms of the role of the queen in the household and in the village. And understanding that you are a queen is core and key to that. Because when you know who you are, then you know how you're supposed to be treated. And you show people how to treat you and how to refer to you and what to do. But it's not outside being who we are. They knew I was going to be black before they knew I was going to be a woman.
Yeah. Well said.
And I agree in a lot of ways. I think it was a few weeks ago on this show where Juan called in and was mentioning how, his wife is an elected official, and even amongst this kind of code of women who were running Democrat women that were running, all of the Caucasian women got reelected. But none of the black women got reelected, and then I go back to like Hillary ran. Everybody was like, "Oh, she's gonna win because all the women gonna vote for her."
Not so much,
yeah. Right? And so I don't necessarily think that. I think there are moments, but not always. I've been in environments where you're like, this girl is sloppy drunk. Like, somebody take care of her, and they're like, girl, her friends
they're actually
are
videotaping her.
Right.
So they can
for
likes.
Oh, listen, Don, that's so important what you said, actually videotaping her as opposed to really protecting her. Because one of the basic things about the code is you protect your girl. You don't leave her at the party by herself. When
come together, lead together.
You come together, you lead together, you stay together, you stop anything you see about to go down that's going to violate her in any way. It's very protective. And women are, in our culture, the keepers of the culture. You're the ones that pass it on. You're the ones that pass it on to females and males, the culture of your people. In some societies, there are groups of women for whom that is their sole existence. The oldest sorority, and I don't mean in the sense of our college sororities, but in the sense of a group of black women in the New World, when we came from Africa, exists in Brazil. A group of women who decided, hey, they are assaulting us at every end. They're taking our names and everything about our culture. We're going to dedicate our lives to making certain that our values and our ways get passed down to our people. So we have a responsibility. There is not only a girl code, there is a black code. And in our culture, they are intertwined.
That's right.
So let me pose this question then. For the children who don't have a mother or don't have a family structure, right? I learned from my mother. I learned the code. It was an absolute it was absolutely necessary for me to understand those boxes but my mother's in her 80s. And so she's from a different generation and era where it was important for her to make sure we understood what Dr. Adams is sharing. What about the children who are the babies who are having babies and never really understood the code because they were not parented the same way? Whose responsibility is that if their family, the buildup of their family is wrong? Who is that?
You got some excellent examples right here in Chicago. You've got groups like the Global Girls, like Ladies of Virtue, like Girls Like Me. These are organizations that are founded by sisters who are passing it on, who are working with young girls, who are helping to raise them in a particular way so they feel good about themselves. Self-esteem is at the core of so much of this. So much of what I see that's disturbing that happens is young girls allowing themselves to be mistreated, abused, talked to any kind of way, passed around any kind of way. And it comes from a lack of self-esteem because no one has taught them how precious they are and how valued they are. And this is the job not only of the women, but it's the job of the men who are around them too. Because for most young girls, if they come up in any kind of family structure, the first man they love is their daddy. And their daddy tells them that nobody's good enough for them.
That's true.
That's true. So I want to put a little thing out here just real quick. If you want to join in this conversation, then call us. We do have a live phone here, 872-259-7474. So if you want to join in, you want to talk, what is the girl code? What is the woman code? How does this relate? Why is this important to our growth solutions? Dr. Adams just threw out 3 amazing organizations there, which I think is important because look at what's going on in our communities, right?
The reality is this: if we don't address this, then all of the rest of the prescriptions, you have to get to you both are doctors. I just played one on Mays Jackson show, but if we don't fix that, the root of it, don't we just keep spiraling out?
Yeah, I think I want to say something that came to my mind when Dr. Adams was talking and when you were kind of phrasing that question was, has not having that these kind of conversations contributed to the parent or lack of parenting that we see, right? Where we have 10 and 12-year-olds outside who are, carjacking and right and young ladies that are, finding it acceptable to be the sugar baby and, all of these things that continue to perpetuate the negative consequences in our community, and so it makes me just say, how does this rearing, yes, those organizations exist, but they can't get to everybody. So how do we get it to a larger number of women?
We're gonna let you think on that. The lines will be open. We're going to take a break because this is probably a long overdue conversation, and this is probably part 1.
Yeah.
Dr. Adams, stay with us. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. If you have questions, put it in the chat or give us a call. This is the Mays Jackson Show with the Woman Takeover.
The Mays Jackson Show. We'll be back after this break. Mays Jackson.
What's up, Chicago? This is your man, Mays Jackson, host of the Mays Jackson Show. You hear me every single day ask the question, what's in it for the black people? Well, finally, y'all, we've got an answer, and it's called the Black People First Party. Meet us every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at TP, located at 5401 South Wentworth, Unit 17E. That's in the mall at the 55th and the Dan Ryan. And you join us every Saturday where we are taking our politics black. We'll teach you everything you need to know about the game, from how to collect a petition, to how to knock on a door, to even how to become the next mayor of the city of Chicago. That's right, y'all. It is the Black People First Party. Meet us every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at TP, located at 5401 South Wentworth in the mall at 55th and the Dan Ryan. And if you don't like it, you can still tell them. Maze said, this is a black people thing you wouldn't even understand.
Maze Jackson.
I don't know what you did, but you did it right. Girl, you make it look so easy. Everywhere you go, heads turning left and right. Can't say you a dime, you're a 20 piece. Cause girl, you're the reason I be acting funny. Everything in me telling me don't let you get away. And all the guys looking like they wanna love you. Every day I'm your body, got not over my dead body. Why you gotta look so good? Why you gotta look so good? Why you gotta look so good? With your hair done, nails done, when you put that grown on, why you gotta look so good, good? With your hair done, nails done, when you put that grown on, girl, why you gotta look so good? I can look and see you're not an average chick. You're shutting it down everywhere you go. Girl, I want you as bad as I wanna check. Cause you're sexy from head to toe. Girl, you're the reason I be acting funny. Everything in me telling me don't let you get away. And all the guys looking like they wanna love you. Every day I'm your body, got not over my dead body. Why you gotta look so good? Why you gotta look so good? Why you gotta look so good? With your hair done, nails done, when you put your grown on. It's something about you when you put your grown on. When you're waking up straight out of bed, girl, why you gotta look so good? When you're at the job just taking a break, girl, why you gotta look so good? In the club turning up, why you gotta look so good? On the dance floor giving more, why you gotta look so good? Why you gotta look so good? Why you gotta look so good? Girl, you know you be killing them when you be getting your own woman on. Why you gotta look so good? With your hair done and your nails done, when you put that grown on, girl, why you gotta look so good? Girl, why you gotta look so good? Why you gotta look so good?
Back to the Maze Jackson Show. You are listening to the most dangerous show in the morning. This is What's in It for the Black People Radio. Maze Jackson. Maze Jackson, the most vociferous advocate for black people in the world.
Church if you ain't trying to help us. Don't even try to be around and can't protect us. We see the lies now of the politicians. We need money and no symbolism. It's Maze and Riis and Ruthie and Ty, explaining how we all come from God, giving us tools to beat the odds. If we united, our movement gon' stop. If they ain't trying to help us, they ain't trying to do nothing. We gotta do something, we gotta stop running. It's time to confront the problem. Really, you expect you oppressed us all.
All the lies we turn.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Maze Jackson Show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, everybody. Hold on, this is my. Thank you for listening and sharing. I am Dawn Millhouse, Book of Dawn, and
Dr.
sitting
Audrey Tanksley
and Dr. Carol Adams, having a conversation that I'm almost embarrassed that this is the first time we're having it.
Yeah.
As many shows as I recorded here, I never dealt with it.
I never did either.
But I am grateful for all the shares and the likes. Shouts out to Africa Porter. Africa said, Dr. Adams, Africa Porter said, hey, mama. Good morning, mama.
Yes, and shout out to, I think it was his last name was
McDonald.
Marquin McDonald for bringing your daughters in the room. If you have daughters at home, if you have nieces at home, little ladies at home, young adults at home, like tune in. Let them, this is a conversation we need to have because there's been some really good things in the chat about, I remember that question.
Yeah.
Y'all, I'm sorry, it's early. And these questions go by, these chats go by fast, so we were trying to catch it, but it was a question that came up about intergenerational. Mm-hmm. How do you actually connect with or address the young women who are not necessarily these new young women, right? Who aren't necessarily realizing that they may not be adhering to older codes or the code in general, or even just to address them, right?
Well, and that bridges to another comment. Somebody said in the chat that we underestimate the power of the media, and it's sad that we do. I mean, we've seen the insurrection. We've seen so many things. We've seen the power and the destruction of media, right? The power of media when it works is how George Floyd and some of the a little nugget of the justice happened, just a little. But it also, on the flip side, to Dr. Adams' earlier point, they're watching reality TV, aspiring to be those women.
Yeah.
As opposed to being their own woman and understanding the value. For me, the code starts and ends with loyalty and integrity.
Absolutely.
Like, it's loyalty over everything.
Yep.
And loyalty then extends itself to making sure you and your girls, you're two. If there's two of you, there's two when you go, there's two when you come back. Understanding that private conversations are private conversations. I mean, let's just keep it a buck.
Yes.
Sometimes we just talk too much.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
But you know what? Let's think about, what do you allow in your home?
Mm-hmm.
What messages do you allow, and who do you allow in your children's ear? Because someone is in their ear more than you are. Okay. Mm-hmm. I see families come out sometime to dinner, each one of them on their own personal device. They're not talking to each other. They are all on the phone. They are all checking their phone. I see in households where there's separation. There's no everybody coming together, having dinner together, talking to each other, sharing the values. They have to be lived. They can't just be taught in some kind of external curriculum. It happens because of the way you live. And what we have now, when you mention intergenerationality, is a blurring of the lines. So we have the girls want to be women and the women want to be girls. We see some women that want to dress like their daughters instead of like, their particular point in life. And so it sends mixed messages to young girls. We had praying grandmamas. They got dating grandmamas. It's a big difference.
Okay. That's absolute facts, because there are, I'm guilty of it myself on occasion. Yeah. I see families and I can't wait to implement the no phone at the dinner table.
Hello.
We had rules at the dinner table. You can't sing.
Yes, you did.
Can't put your elbows on the table. It was.
And you have to be there. Guess what?
Right. You have to
be there.
Yeah, and you don't just get up and walk away. You say, "May I be excused from?"
May I be excused?
Absolutely.
We have lost that. I am guilty of that. Yeah. And it's a good reminder for me that you never stop parenting just because the kids are out of the home, because they're still watching you.
Absolutely. I have to say I'm guilty of that as well, too. I think we sit at our dinner table as a family on holidays.
Yeah.
Only.
Yeah.
Only. Only instead of every night. And then everybody's got something in their ear. You do not know what's going on in there. You don't know who's talking, who's doing what. Now you don't even know who's communicating with your child on the internet. You have no idea because you're not watching. You know,
Mace said something important, and I'm glad he said it because it is actually one of those things that make you go. He said, 40 is the new 20, and I let me just tell you, I was so happy when I turned 50. I was saying I was 50 when I was 40. I so wanted to be like Dr. Adams and my mother. And be that person. But a lot of us is like 50 is the new 30. It's not. 50 is 50, and I'm thank God that I'm 55.
Yeah.
So that's a great point that Maze brought up because they are trying to go backwards, like Dr. Adams said. They're trying to be like the daughter. We got to call her.
Oh, we got a caller. Okay. So, well, let's take this caller because I'm not going to forget what I was thinking. So let's go ahead and take the caller. Hey, caller. Welcome to the Maze Jackson Show with the estrogen takeover.
Facts.
Good morning. Good morning, sisters.
Good morning.
I am so glad you guys are having this conversation because I think a lot of times when we talk about the ills of our community, our women is left out. And why I say that because the black woman is the last nail in the coffin for our community. Once you got her, you got us all. And when you think about this society and how it has soaked us in, we to a point where we have became them. Mentality-wise, we have became our oppressors. I think about, I'm 55 years old. I think about when I was coming up in high school and being around young black women. And I'm not saying that everything was perfect back then, but there was morals back then, which is missing nowadays. I'm talking about our women nowadays feel like everything is all right. You could be this, you could be that. I look on social media and how they interact. I'm looking at little girls with weave down to their ankles and the lashes, and everybody want to go get their body done. And we talk about these reality shows. Now, these reality shows is when it comes to our black women, just imagine how the world sees this and the world reality. So if I didn't know nothing about you, and this is all I've seen of you, and when I come amongst you, what do you think I'm going to think about you? Mm-hmm. And this is something that's being pushed on our system, the homosexuality. I mean, if you go to a strip club nowadays, I'm talking about a woman's strip club. Men can't even get in a woman's strip club nowadays because it's infatuated with women and how they interact with one another, the grinding and rubbing and touching on each other constantly. I'm going to leave y'all with this. I was listening to an interview this morning with Nicki Minaj and this little sister, they call her Carly Rae. Are y'all familiar with the singer?
Wait, I'm familiar with Nicki. What's the other person?
Carly Rae. If you got young teenagers, they know who she is.
Okay.
Carly Rae. And Nicki Minaj asked the question. She say, Carly Rae, are you gay or bisexual? She said, no. Listen to this. She said, no, I'm not gay, but I like to eat, but I'm not gay. You understand? And they both start laughing about it and just carrying on with the conversation. And this is the mentality we're dealing with. These are the people that are raising, because the man is not there, raising these young men. And all of that starts in the womb. That mentality starts in the womb. So we think about why our community and why we got all these shooters and we just haywire right now. It's because once you get that woman, once you get that black woman, you got all of us because it all starts there. And, I just want to leave you with that.
Yeah, thank you, caller. That was a great call.
Because honestly, I'll say this, and I'll defer to our guest. When you and I talked about this, I am a firm believer in that the culpability is whether we're married or single. My mother did a phenomenal job and raised 6 incredible black children by herself. with her village.
That's right.
Without the presence of their father. But ultimately, if not us, then who? I really do believe, and I agree with him wholeheartedly, that it does start in the womb. And we protected that. I did when I was pregnant because it was a gift to be able to bring forth life. Now you see people almost exploiting pregnancy.
These photos.
Well,
the photos.
you certainly
during
do.
Pregnancy.
It's
You know,
some-
and I think
some
it's the
stripper
mentality,
maternity
though.
clothes.
Yeah.
I don't know when the stripper maternity clothes got popular, but it certainly speaks to what you feel about your maternity, which is supposed to be sort of like the most special time and a very sacred time that has you wanting to present in a certain way. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm pregnant, let me leap up on this pole.
Facts. And show you every part of my pregnant body.
Right.
You know?
Hashtag stripper
Here it
maternity
is
I
for
clothes.
love
everybody.
it. Stripper maternity clothes.
And it is a hypersexualization
Yeah.
that is doomed. It really is. That gets to the point where absolutely anything goes. So there's no definition of yourself as a woman, as the keeper of the culture, as the mother of the earth, as the first Eve. If you understand that about yourself, it is a position of ascendancy and elevation. It's not some low down, nasty, dirty, I'll be anything at any time for anyone. You see young women now defining themselves as pansexual. Okay? That
Yeah,
is
I've lost
whatever
track
it is.
of all the titles. I literally.
That's part of the plus.
Is that them there? The whatever the things are, the them ones.
I'd say pansexual is probably part of the plus.
Okay.
Part, right?
Okay.
That's part of the
Not
ones who
pansexual,
say,
you like-
I don't care who it is or what it is.
Exactly. I just
Oh,
like
okay.
Whatever. Like I like who like me.
Okay.
So you know, like you can be a man and like a tranny. You can like a man. You can like a girl. You can like anything.
Let's stay right there because I have some of my own peoples that I know from Chicago who are responsible. You get so it's six in one hand. You get excited when they get network deals, right? And you're like, go, rah. I went to high school with them, and the half dozen and the other is what's on the show, the content, and you're like, Ikes. I'd rather watch Mary Tyler Moore because you know that was back when they were still sleeping in separate beds. We have to hold ourselves accountable for, and I'm not disrespecting anybody. I'm going to stay in my God lane and do what the Spirit tells me to do. But I see some stuff on TV that I can almost not watch. Yeah. Created by our own people.
Absolutely.
And your
From
children
Chicago.
are watching it. Your kids are watching it.
They are, and I think that is important. Our kids are watching it, but I just want to go back just a tad bit to the babies having babies, and the 40 is the new 20, and the caller, and this is a mindset, right? Someone in the chat was like, "I was 20 when I was 20,"
and happy to be it,
and right. And I, had my 40th milestone a couple years ago, and I felt like when I got to that space, actually when I got to 35, my mind began to change in a way that I knew I was maturing, and there was a bigger responsibility on me as a woman in the way that I carried myself, the way that I interacted in public, because somebody was watching, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just because of the letters behind my name. It was because of a larger integrity, yes. Right? When your mindset is not such, and you're not growing. Yesterday, they talked all about growth and development, right? When you are not growing, you are not developing. And so you are not even in a space to mentor somebody else, right? So if I'm steady having kids or now I'm a grandmother, my mindset is still stuck when I was a young woman. And I haven't grown past that. So I'm only giving out those same immature vibes, right? You at some point you have to mature, and I would love to ask Dr. Adams, how does that maturity occur in us? And how do we help women who may be in a totally different mindset begin to see that this is something that has to happen if we are going to be sustainable? My husband says all the time, like, we're going to get conquered.
Jesus.
He's like, the youth are weak. They don't know who they are. And we are not, we as their, as their elders, we aren't even developed enough to develop them, right? And so it's almost
if
like
they don't know who they are, whose fault is that? We are the teachers. We, the women, are the very first teachers. We are the first teacher that a child ever encounters. But if we haven't been taught, then how do we pass it on? Right. Well, again, it's the responsibility of the village. We've got to get in there where people are not. Just like the organizations I mentioned before, they're reaching out. They're reaching out to girls, and they're helping to mold and give some new ideas and concepts, are really the old ideas and concepts, and passing them on. Our families used to be multi-generational. And so you had, more of this going on. Now it's very separate. The messages that are coming to your children are coming from any and everybody. We have given them over to someone else to educate. And so we have to consciously and intentionally take it back. We can't expect it to happen by accident. It has to be planned. That's why organizational development and things that happen in churches and all those things are so important. When we really practiced our code, we didn't have kids out here with nobody looking after them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Almost everybody's family had somebody in the family that wasn't a sibling. Okay, they took them because so-and-so had trouble and something was going on. Come and live with me. Send those babies with me. Do this, do that. I had 3 different cousins at various times come and live with us because my mom said, I'm not going to have you in an environment that isn't protected for you. Come here. Okay, everybody had the woman on the block or in the building that looked after the girls. Okay, when I used to work at CHA, we started a program called Mama Said. And Mama Said was where the experienced moms taught the other moms how to be moms because whoever their biological mom was had not done so. So they were the ones that said, come here, girl, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you about what's going on. I see what's going on in your house. I see what's going on here and there. Here's what you need to do. It has to be intentional. It has to be taught. We have to think of platforms and ways to do it.
Shouts out to Polished Pebbles too. I sit on the board.
Absolutely, Polished Pebbles
organization.
That one as well.
Yeah, and Tennille posed a question. She said, "How many of us women?" I'm speaking to. I guess I can speak to all, but I'm going to direct this question to the women specifically. How many of us have really taken the time to even donate an hour of advice or service to an organization? To help. Right. We all have to do our part.
We do.
And it's got to start somewhere. And it can be finance or experience. It takes finance and experience to solve them. You mentioned grow. You mentioned grow. And what I wanted to say is that the younger generations and some of our own generation don't understand that with growth, there's pain.
Yes.
You're being stretched. Right. And we are in nothing can hurt society. And so when it gets to the growing pain, that's where the growth stops for many because they don't want to go through. You're a sorority girl.
I am.
You have to cross the sand.
Yes.
Like you have to be in those valleys.
That's right.
But we're not, but you got to cross through it. And so I guess we won't build Rome in this one conversation, but what do either of you, since I'm the honorary doctor, I will pose the question to the 2 PhDs in the room.
I'm an MD.
MD, PhD. You still a D. Look, you still a D. Where do we start? With the babies or the grown-ups? Because we can't bite the whole head off at once. Where?
But you know what? A musician doesn't just play a single note; they play a chord. We move on several levels, and we move on them at the same time. And some people take up one banner, and some people take another. But if we all know our destination and where we're trying to go, we know that we can get there. So we modify what happens in our home. We get more engaged with our children and their lives and what they do. We have taken on the values of the oppressor. We think our girls need privacy. No, they don't need privacy. They need you. They need you in every aspect of their lives. They need the door open, not the door shut. They need you in that ear and not an earbud. So at every level, we have to move and move forward. We have to take that girl we know that needs somebody, even if it's in our own family. We have things in our families we ignore because we say, I don't want to get involved. It ain't my business. Well, it is your business. As Gwendolyn Brooks says, we are each other's business.
Absolutely.
We are
my sister's keeper, right?
Bond. So let's forget about the superficial and get to the real and stay there.
Yeah.
Get in wherever you can fit in, with this, whether the child's in your family, on your block, across the hall, down the street, in your classroom, wherever we see need, we have to respond to it.
Absolutely. And that's where I would say, so a couple different things real quick. One, shout out again to Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. The best sorority.
What do y'all do? I know the
Girl,
Project
please
Cradle
don't
Care.
even go there.
Okay.
I won't go there. Okay. Shout out to all my Greeks, but we do have something called Project Cradle Care, which is an initiative that we do with pregnant women. And so, as we were discussing earlier about it starts in the womb, this is one of the things that we do in bringing women together. Of course, we do fun stuff like throwing a baby shower, but at the same time, we provide them with education and nutritional education and things that just help to improve not only the possibility of the life, that's within them, but also changing their minds about the way that they will rear their children as they go forward. But as a physician, I want to answer the question that you said where we start. Dr. Adams is absolutely right. I think people think, like you were saying, when have you given an hour or this? I think we think we have to go do some amazing, I got to start a 501c3, I got to do this. But you can, in your everyday life, you can do something tangible that changes the outcome or it just plants the seed for someone else, right? So as a physician, I have literally come across this a number of times. I used to work at a clinic on 47th Street, and I used to get, I'm going to go way back. When I first started as a resident, I used to have a patient come in every single week. And she would come in and she'd be like, hey, doc, I need the usual. And I'd be like, what is the usual, right? Because I could not. And the usual was a pregnancy test and an STD check. Wow. And I used to be like, so at one point, after probably about 4 or 5 months, I would be like, let's have a conversation about the choices that you're making. Let's talk about birth control so that maybe every month we don't need to do a pregnancy test and we'll just do the STD check, or we'll do, And when we started to dig deeper, this young lady had no clue about her body and how her body, her menstrual cycle. She had no clue about how her body worked. Yeah. Because I'd be like, if you weren't pregnant yesterday, you ain't pregnant today. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But or even, I mean, tell, or are you? Or should we be, How about this? How about the baby would be the blessing? How about the other stuff? Well, would it be the blessing? Because every time they came in, their 2 other children sat at the nurse's desk. Oh, Lord. Right? Yeah. While we were doing the exam. So would it have really been a blessing? So we started to talk, and we ended up being really, really close. But, and I found that from that moment, I was intentional about, asking people questions and really trying to get to the core of what was going on. So I was, fast forward, I'm working on 47, and I would see women coming in all the time, same thing. STD checks, STD checks, STD checks. And so I think we have to, like you said, be intentional every single day to make sure that we just say one thing to a woman, maybe to encourage them or to just help them look at a situation differently. You don't have to sleep with 6 different men, sis. Like, and if you do, then let's talk about how to do it safely.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just, you know, and why are you doing that? And is it your choice that you're doing it? You know, there was a lot of questions or a lot of things about molestation and things like that. And I'm not going to get too far into that, but I will say that there are a lot of signs that young ladies exhibit when something is not going right in their life. True. And we have to, like Doc said, we have to be watching and we have to ask questions. And you have to be the one that is in their ear and really kind of pulling that out, because you never know what somebody is going through. I have had women riding the trains with their babies all night because they're homeless. Or I had a patient one time they brought to my office. They said, we need you to help her get off of these pills. She popping pills all night long. When I got her in the office and I talked to her, this young lady was living in a horrible environment. She had herself been molested. She had a baby. She's living in an environment where she doesn't feel safe. And she would pop these pills all night to stay woke so nobody would molest her baby.
Yeah.
I said I will not stop her from these pills. I'm sorry. But what I will do is send her to my housing coordinator and let's get her a safe place to live.
Let's start there.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
Because the drug is actually her solution at this moment. And you know, you don't learn that until you start talking to people.
Well, let me just give you your flowers. I have a doctor who I wasn't that girl, but my relationship with my doctor became the friendship that will never end, right? But she was that doctor. She asked tough questions. She gave blunt answers. Her bedside manner wasn't for everybody, but I believe that people in your profession, the more honest and the more you dig, you definitely have a concentrated way to help a lot of these younger women, even some older, 20-something women, because you're that first hand of some daily activity, whether they are being abused and or if they're just wilding out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so,
and even in that wilding out stage, let's do it safe, sis.
Yeah.
So it's don't be a lifelong thing.
Absolutely. But I'm going to tell you, something that Dr. Adams said was my mother's rule, and it is my rule to this day. You cannot come in my house and close your door.
Come on. That's my door.
Listen,
I will take it off the hinges.
Come on,
my mother took the door off the hinges, ladies. Let me tell you something. And I mean, she did it literally, okay? When I was young, I remember we moved to a new place, okay? And I was so happy. I said, oh, I have my own room. I'm this, I'm that, I'm blah, blah, blah. I went to school that morning. When I got home from school, all the doors were taken off of our rooms. I had 2 sisters. The only door was to my parents' room. We had no doors. My mother took every single door off the hinges.
Yeah, period.
Okay.
You don't
I
have
wrote
that
a
anymore.
piece one Mother's Day dedicated to her where I talked about how early I knew that I couldn't have a diary because she was going to read it. If somebody was writing me a letter, she was going to read it. She said, hey, you a girl, I'm checking everything, okay?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, listen, and I want your passwords.
Clothing. You couldn't come in with some clothes that she didn't buy. Where did you get them? Who gave them to you? You can't accept gifts from boys, much less men. I mean, all of these things are part of the protective shell that we have to create for the girls in our village, and for the young women and older women who haven't experienced this. We have to extend it to them as well. We have to teach each other. Still,
somebody mentioned in the comments, and I didn't say it when it happened, and I think it might have been Mace. He said babies having babies, right? And then somebody followed up, and somebody said we've always done this, and I thought about it until just now, because the reality is babies have always had babies in our culture.
Yes.
So that's not an excuse.
No. No, but I can remember in our Black is Beautiful heydays, they had womanhood classes and all the rest of those things. We reinstated rites of passage where you taught the men taught the boys and the women taught the girls. And when they reached 12, they had a ceremony that was a rite of passage. But all along, they had been taught things about who they were and whose they were, which is even more important, that we're going to give them the lessons that they needed for life.
And that's good that you mentioned. Mr. Milhouse always talked about, you have a bat mitzvah, a bar mitzvah, and you have the quinceañera, and you do. What do we have?
We have rites of passage, John. We do, but they're not enough of them, and people don't know about them. They happen in little small groups and all of that, instead of being part of a broader cultural narrative. But there are places where young people are part of a system that includes and involves their rites of passage in a very formal way. We just need to do exactly what you're doing today. Talk about it more and let these things proliferate.
Yeah.
Because I think that's always my question is, how do we reach the ones that are not connected directly to us? If they don't walk into my clinic and they walk into somebody else, it's like, how do we reach those people?
We need to sing our own song.
Explain that more for me, Doc.
Okay. In other words, we don't want young ladies to think that being a righteous queen is somehow less than. It has to be as celebrated and rewarded as all this negative stuff is being. We are rewarding the wrong things and the wrong people. We are talking out of both sides of our mouth when we tell our children what they ought to be, but we still finger popping and playing all the things that degrade them on the radio when we take them to school.
Yeah.
Thank God for the Maze Jackson show. That's what my son listened to on the way to school.
Listen, I can remember my daughter telling me, and I know she's listening to this right now, but when we used to have one TV and everybody watched it, then you got a chance to talk about what your kids were watching. You have no idea what they're watching, what they're listening to, so you can't even give it a rebuttal. And I used to have a running commentary on everything that was going on TV. I'd be saying, hey, you see what they really tried to say is this, and what they really tried to say is that. And one day she said, Mom, can I just watch TV?
Please.
And you're like, nope, because I paid a utility bill, ma'am.
Hey, I got something to say about what they're trying to say to you, about who you are, about what's beautiful, what's not, and all the rest of these things. And we start teaching our little girls very, very early that they're not beautiful, that we've got to modify them, that we have to change them. Anytime you see people putting hair on 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, what the hell do you think you're teaching them, other than that they are not beautiful as they are?
That they're not good enough.
Yeah.
And even so much so, and I say this all the time, and I probably some of my girlfriends that say this word, I have always been, I've always had a not great feeling when you get your face made up and they say, girl, my face is beat. It drives me bananas, right? Because women used to wear makeup to cover up being beat. So when you take that word and make it interchangeable with something that can ruin a person, and we keep, girl, she beat. No, actually, she's not. She has makeup on, and she's enhanced or whatever. I mean, you don't necessarily have to say that word, but to say your face is beat is reteaching the very issue that we're talking about.
We don't realize the power of words.
Yeah.
Period. And that goes way back to what Dr. Adams was saying earlier about self-esteem is the crux of this issue, right? We say so many things to each other that are degrading in the spirit of sisterhood that it has corrupted the term.
Just go rewind to the introduction of Regina Daniels, who is well established in her field. Okay, I'm talking about Whitney Houston, Randall. Like I'm telling my age with the people that I'm naming, but those responsible for she is. You know how they say it's the woman behind the man? She is the woman behind that machine. Yes. And it has enlarged his coast has been enlarged because of his respect for her. But
which he said, okay? Then it took another sister to try to give her a terrible introduction.
Yeah. But again, like you said, Audrey, I always tell people, you have to be mindful of the words that come out your mouth. First of all, you never know who's listening. That's a lesson my mama taught me, because somebody's always listening. With social media, millions of people are listening, because once it's out there, you can delete it in 10 seconds if you want to. It's still out there.
Tennille taught us that.
And so being mindful means listening when somebody's talking instead of waiting for them to finish so you can talk.
That's right.
So basic skills: listen, think, respond. But that all goes back to the beginning, which Dr. Adams said. It starts in the home, and you teach those values in your home.
That's right.
And you also teach them to the kids on the block, because you can tell which kids on the block are not getting it at home. Mm-hmm. And I think somebody said in there, we have those are my babies. You can't. Hey, well, it's this.
And that's real.
That's
these
real.
Days.
That's real. But you can still proceed with caution.
Yeah.
You might not be able to do everything, but you can do something that would protect or teach a young sister.
You can model it.
Absolutely.
Right? You can model it, just like we were saying. If they're down at your house and they're doing things, I may not be able to touch your kids or this, that, and the other, but this is my home, and this is the way things are done here, and they can see that behavior. And a lot of times young ladies and young men as well too, but they want this. I think our babies want structure. They want the structure.
Well, we crave
We're human.
it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
We just are not. I don't know why we not doing it, but like sometimes I get so sad at the state of where we are. We need Ruthie here today, like for her to just be like, we down so bad. Like sometimes I feel like,
but you know what? Let's uplift those who are doing it. Let's set them up as examples for people to follow. Let's remember that we are not only raising our own children, but their friends and everything as well. Because once they come in your sphere, you have a chance to influence them. Okay,
that's true.
My mom influenced all the girls around me. Okay, because she insisted that everybody could come to your house. Now you might not be able to go to theirs, but they could come to yours, because she wanted to control what was going on. She wanted to see it, and she became the mom to other people. It's been amazing to me to see the extent to which some folk who you think are parenting are not, and their children are looking elsewhere for some structure, for some sense of self and what to do. And so you look at, what do you have to do with the other people who are part of this friendship group? How can you model it? What can you do to help in those ways? There's not any of us who cannot contribute to what needs to be done here to right-size things in our culture and in our communities.
You know what? It looks like we have a caller, Doc. So let's go ahead and take. Do you say 2? 4? Oh, come on, y'all. Let's talk.
It's the W Takeover.
Hey. Let's take caller number 1. Caller, it's the Mays Jackson
Good
Show.
morning, ladies.
Good morning.
And gentlemen. You're exactly right. Now, I am enjoying this morning's show immensely. But it seems like we've lost a couple generations, And I think it's because, the music that we listen to, the television shows, they have no social redeeming value at all, In fact, they have social receding value. Well, and it shows like, Rock, The Cosby Show, Different World, all those shows, came with a message, it has something to to add to our morals, you know. But today we don't have that, you know. I mean, you know, it just, you know, we get profanity, you know, and our video games are you know, more violent than real life, you know, and that desensitizes children, desensitizes kids to violence, you know, because they've seen it all already, you know, and they've seen too much too soon, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's, you know, it's just, you know, I mean, you look at the Muslim community, you know, they have different values, you know, and they haven't bought into, you know, this Western civilization that is deteriorating, you know, and you know, it's tough out here, you know. I mean, you know, you're trying to date women, you know, you find out the daughter can't cook, you find out the mom can't cook, you know, and your grandmama can't cook, you know. I mean, what are we passing on, you know? And you know, I think of Mavis Staples when she had that song "Respect Yourself," you know, and Aretha Franklin with "Respect." You know, I mean, it was a message in the music, and it was a good message. It was a message for, you know, pulling ourselves up. You know, absolutely. I was watching a documentary where you know, about the civil rights movement, where, you know, people would meet at the churches and they'd be waiting for the speaker to show up, and while they're waiting, they would sing, you know, gospel songs, but they could sing secular songs, you know, right in the church, you know, that would be just as uplifting as some of the gospel music. You know, they'd sing "People Get Ready," you know, from Curtis Mayfield, you know. Yeah. And it would be up.
Right. Let me interrupt you just for a second, because I want to touch on something so we can get to the next caller. I just want to say thank you for that reminder of the many thoughts that you just shared, which are deep, like the
social.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Super deep.
But I want to just highlight. You talked about cooking, and I want to loop that back into our conversation about dinner. Part of the family element is in the conversations and the teaching for my mom and for me and for her with her mom, and even me with my grandmother, may she rest in peace, happened in the kitchen. And so putting the phones down and taking the earbuds out, like Dr. Adams said, is important. So we pass down that is a ritual in and of itself.
Yes, it is.
You don't have to be the best, but we spent that time bonding and teaching the value of it. Absolutely. As opposed to running and getting hugs juices. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to highlight that, and we appreciate your call. We're going to take another call, and thank you so much for listening, though. We appreciate it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Anthony. I'm a friend of the show.
Hey, Anthony.
Dr. Tanksley, if I'm not, I don't want to butcher your name. Is it Tanksley?
It's Tanksley, like a tank, military Tanksley.
Anyway, are you aware of the program over at Kennedy King for mental health and addiction?
No, tell me more.
Anyway, short story. I was trying to get my CADC, right?
Okay.
And I stumbled over there, and there's a director, Jacqueline Sylvester, and Dr. McGill. And there's, you know, anyway, I go by there. And what did I do that for? You know, a lot of the things that I was taught, some of the things, is a lot of our decisions and stuff that we do comes from the first classroom, the familiar classroom. And if I'm not receiving good information from inside that circle, chances are I'm going to go outside and not be as able to socialize with people, okay, as I could be if I was getting better messaging. Anyway, I've learned that, you know, a lot of the children that we're talking about, they're not able to, you know, connect with people and resources and things of that nature. And it's almost to the point where some people have become frightened of being around our children.
Okay.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
Not really. I'm to be honest. I'm sorry. I want to.
Okay. I appreciate you, you know, trying to, but when you see some of the things our children are doing, it almost frightens you to be around them.
Ah, okay. So,
okay, I've seen them attack adults and stuff like that, beat them up, take their cars, stuff like that.
Okay. I get where you're going.
You know, okay, and I'm not just trying to point to the negative, but if they're not getting, you know, positive role models and things like that, how are they going to act positive?
Right. Thank you so much, Anthony. I do see where you're going now, and I agree. I think that's what we're really trying to bring forth in this show is showing that, you know, we of course know we're all the choir, right? Yeah. And we have to begin to reach the people that are in the congregation, and it's often those individuals, right? Those kids that have not had or don't have direct access to individuals that are putting positivity in their life. And so that's where a lot of these organizations can be very helpful. Even the community college setting in itself, right? So Kennedy King, having forums or having people that can serve as mentors there, having those type of programs, like you said. I'm not familiar with their addiction program, but I know there is one at Governor State as well too. And even in that, making sure that those messages that are in the way that we address our patients is culturally appropriate, you know, and I think that schools like Chicago State and Kennedy King and things like that do a good job at that. But we do need more of it, and we do need to reach more of those people. So thank you so much for the call. Sorry I didn't get it at first.
Yeah, no,
that was good.
That was good. Do we have another caller?
Yeah, I think we got a couple more. So,
Dr. Adams, if you want to jump in there,
please.
All right.
Well, good. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I just wanted to give the proper Proverbs. It's Proverbs 3, chapter 3:31. Do not envy the ways of your oppressor. And that's in Proverbs. So I just wanted to start with that. Excellent conversation, and thank you for having this conversation. Let me just say this. I guess I'll try to sum everything up in one word: morality. I remember a time where it seemed that we used to say, we don't do those things.
Yes.
Those are things that other people do,
yes.
You know, as Afro-Americans. Okay. I remember that. It seemed that there was a time where we had a higher consciousness of our morality, ethics, integrity, class, tact, etiquette, words such as that. And it seems like those expressions have been replaced. A lot does have to do with society and the expression of how we entertain ourselves. So from a male's point of view, I'll give enlightenment and some constructive criticism. So a lot of women, I don't think, understand the power that they have, the influence that they have, especially when that female girl aspires to become a lady, the same as a boy, a man should aspire to become a gentleman. You were right, words are powerful because that's how we learn. That statement, sticks and stones may break my bone, but words never hurt. That's a false statement. Because we all can reflect back to when a loved one or someone we trusted said something harshly, and it hurt us to the core. So then that's where the language comes in. I like to try to give practical solutions. This music, you all, what I'm listening to are just beautiful, intelligent women with wisdom, and there are many. But also I'll challenge some women, professional women. I've never understood how that woman could hear such language for some music from a man who she's dating or even at a party. I used to DJ, so I've witnessed sometimes the influence of the older person is so strong on the younger person because our kids learn from us, whoever that may be. So if that older person is listening to debauchery, verbal porn, and that's a woman or a man, and they have a child, daughter or son, hearing that, then what do we think they're going to emulate? Okay,
Dr. Adams, you
I'm from the time. Yes, go ahead.
Dr. Adams, you want to jump in there?
Well, I think he's on certainly the right track. It's everything that we're allowing. It's the messaging that we're allowing to get through. And it is about us wresting control of our own image and our own lives back from the oppressor.
Exactly.
And do not lie in imitating the oppressor. Our answers lie in returning to our values, what we have always practiced, what we have believed. We see, and lots of times kids that didn't get them necessarily at home, they'd get them at church. There'd be a lot of families that maybe they didn't go to church, but they sent their kids. And so the kids got some exposure. Now we have much less of that. We don't see the streets teeming with people on the way somewhere to get this positive messaging. And we've got to reject. No matter how many years I've heard us say it, we're still buying and playing and dancing to the music of our destruction.
And on that, on that note,
well said.
We're gonna.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Adams has got to go, so I first want to say thank you, Dr. Adams, for being. Thank you, caller, and thank you, Dr. Adams, for always being.
Is this every Tuesday? I'm sorry, I just want to.
Well, you have tuned in to the special takeover of the Mays Jackson show while he is on vacation.
Okay,
he's on spring break.
Well, we go tell Mays. I'm gonna call in and tell Mays exactly. We gonna get that going. Because let me just say this last thing, because I think it needs to be more intentional for men and women, for men to talk to women and listen to one another, as well as women talk to men and men talk to men, and get that perspective, because we can learn a lot. Yeah. We can learn a lot from each other.
And this is how we heal our families.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your call and your comments. Dr. Adams, thank you for being one of the queen mothers in my village. I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful that you jumped on and shared just a microcosm of your perspective and your prescription.
Thank you so much.
And I am coming to become a part of this village.
Right.
Because
I appreciate being invited. I appreciate being invited.
And we'll call you when we do this again. It looks like we got to finish this conversation, or at least continue it. Thank you so much.
All right.
Have a wonderful day, and stay dry if it's raining.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Fabulous.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick break. Callers, hang on. We're going to
come right back to you.
Yep.
The Mays Jackson Show will be back after this break. Mays Jackson.
What's in it for the black people? I want to know, is there an offensive black people list? Who manages and do black people have to honor?
Mays. You're Uncle Tom. That's why you're an offensive. And the reason why you're Uncle Tom is the real story of Uncle Tom. How he worked for his freedom, and then the slave master reneged on him and wouldn't let him get his freedom. So you know what he did? He left. You're messing with the church's money. You were smart enough to work your way off, so you offended the white folks, and then you offended the black folks because your ass left, and because they wouldn't. And who manages the left is both black folks and white folks, because if you see in that situation, the black folks is just as mad as the white slave owner that Uncle Tom left.
What happens if you say that in
someone gets offended.
You ran off the plantation, brother. That's why you're offensive. That's all I got, bro. Keep being offensive.
Thank you.
Maze Jackson. Back to the Maze Jackson Show. You are listening to the most dangerous show in the morning. This is What's in It for the Black People Radio. Maze Jackson. Maze Jackson, the most vociferous advocate for black people in the world.
For Ruthie Moore, for Todd Stroger, I am the host of the Maze Jackson Show, asking every single day, what's in it for the black people? And if you don't like it, you can still tell them Maze said, Mayor Lightfoot, man, we ain't accepting that. We ain't accepting that. Let's go. Yeah.
Let's get down to business and go ahead and address the facts. Man, Lightfoot seems more lesbian than black. Rahm Emanuel was another case. He was just as tired. 50 closed schools left much to be desired. Police had Anjanette naked on that body cam. They suppressed the footage so it couldn't touch a lot of hands. Reminds me of that 16 shots in that cover up. Both of them similar, so I went and dug it up. George Floyd killed, a lot of riots happened in the town. Southside burned and they wouldn't let them bridges down. Grandmother sick, need a prescription and plus a couple groceries. You won't have to travel just to get it down. COVID-19 now is shutting all the business down. Not enough SBA loans to even give around. So many failed businesses that you can put them in the pile. If you don't survive the pandemic, it's gonna sit you down. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks. Shout out to Willie Wilson, hope one day you get to send it. We need some different players in the game to handle business. Too many shady characters like Madigan and Blago. But when you really break it down, it's typical Chicago. City full of gangsters, it's what the land was built on. Same streets with hood legends, DNA gets spilled on. Carjackers out here lurking, trying to get they steal on. Looking for a block to put them Hellcat wheels on. Let us give bogus appraisals a red line. Car crackers out here getting minimal fair time. And up the seal carry, I stay with the pipe. But Illinois gun laws giving minimal rights. Stay up on the swivel, make sure I'm moving tight. Check all of my mirrors when I pull up to the light. Pick my homie up from out of town, man, he caught a flight. He was hella nervous, told him, shorty, this is a way of life. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Maze Jackson Show.
Dawn is funny as ever, y'all. I'm just gonna say she has me cracking up over here.
And so we didn't get a chance to say goodbye to the radio. Thank you for rocking
Saints.
with us.
Thank
you.
you.
We
And I hope you guys came to join us on Facebook or Twitter or Twitch or
all of those.
All that. YouTube. Shout
YouTube.
out to the YouTubers. I see you guys in the comments. Thank you so much for interacting with us today.
Listen, I am so let me say this from my saint voice, okay? I am so happy, that God is intentional.
Yes, indeed.
Right? And Maze knew what he was doing, but he didn't know what he was doing. Because God's intention manifested after he sent the request, right? And in our conversation yesterday, we were like, hey, this is the energy that's happening there. How do we marry that to us? And remember, we're like, let's have a couple points, but let's let it happen. And I think it really is happening the way it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
We're not going to solve this today. No. We do have some definitive points to take away. Absolutely. We have to, if not us, then who?
Exactly.
We have to be accountable to the entire village.
Absolutely.
Dr. Adams has a village of women that she inspires and mentors. Most of them she didn't give natural birth to, but she is that person. We have to embrace that mentality and not take our own. I mean, everybody can't do everybody, but you can do some.
Yeah.
You have to do your part
in your lane.
In your lane,
right? And I think that's the most powerful thing of all is recognizing what you can do in your own space, because we all have the ability to touch somebody, whether it's our own children, our extended family, or those in the extended village, right? We all have that ability to touch one of them and to, just like I said before, right? I'm a gardener. You will see my
I'm
pictures.
Gonna need your help.
You will see my pictures as the, spring
comes. The only thing green only be money. And I said B. I said it on purpose like that.
Right.
Because I tell Tennille all the time, you and Tennille should talk. She's a
yes,
gardener.
I know.
I'm always like, Tennille, what kind of
flowers
flowers do I get? And how many ice cubes? And I'm like,
and I'm more of a vegetable gardener.
She does that too.
But yeah, I'm getting more into flowers, but I'm sorry, y'all. We will derail the conversation, but I use a lot of gardening references.
But that's facts. You have to plant the seed.
You have to plant the seed.
Absolutely.
You do. And things in life will water it and allow it to grow.
Sure.
But if you don't plant those seeds early, then, or at any point, because I think you can. I think sometimes we look and we say, oh, she lost. She 20-something. Ain't
no hope for her.
Right.
There's always hope.
There's always hope.
There's always hope.
Oh, man, I didn't get this thing until I was like well into my adulthood, I mean, I was still out here. I mean, I've been with my husband for 22 years, so 23 going this year, but so I wasn't, kind of out there in that sense, but with, the focus and the how do I really impact my community? How do I really impact my day-to-day life and the people that are connected to me, that are coming to me?
Those are your assignments.
Those are my assignments. And I didn't get that purpose until, I was definitely in my 30s,
Yeah.
So,
Riis, DJ Riis, do we have callers? Let's take. We got callers, man.
Thank you, callers, for waiting and for holding on.
Thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
Yo, what's good, family? What is good? My two favoriteest people.
Oh,
man, look. Hey, man, let me tell y'all. Hey, man, I love y'all, man. Sister Tanksley, man, Don, man, I'm rocking with y'all like cutoff stockings. Thank you for the show today. Thank you all for coming in. Man, this is just dope, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I love black women. I love all the sisters. And I just think that, I just don't like, when we reduce the women to just cooking and, just the enjoyment that they bring, man. Let the women be whole women. Let them find what their passions are, you know what I'm saying? And let them grow, and if that takes me as a man to have to step up and be that provider and be that security, then that's the path that we needed to help the women get to where they need to get to. But, you know what I'm saying? So everybody got a role to play in it. And, you just, people like to kind of, I ain't going to call it an excuse, but it gives people an out, just to put it back on the women. Like, y'all deal with the kids, this. No, let me take my kids. Give me my kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They my kids. Cause I think one thing I noticed as being a father of a girl is I set the tone in how she should want somebody to tend to her needs. She got me wrapped around her finger. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what, to me, that's what I would want for somebody that's going to take her out of my house. You know what I'm saying? You bring her back the way I gave her to you. So, we got to teach, you got to, and then you got to teach your sons, like, if she ain't right, leave her alone.
Yeah.
And have some discernment and, you know what I'm saying? Like, and just everybody got to think and be like the doctor just said, be a lot more intentional and, give them the environment, of protection. You know what I'm saying? Because the whole thing about, molestation and stuff like that, that's going to come into the conversation as well because we're not paying attention. We're not talking to them. Yeah. We're not giving them the tools to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. And then when they come to us with something like that, they got to know that somebody going to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
They got to feel safe. They got to feel they're protected.
Yeah. No truer
yeah,
words.
Boys and girls.
That's right, boys and
come on
girls.
Now,
boys and girls, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, you know, so that's my spiel for today. And, you know, I love y'all and, you know, I'm going to just sit back and listen.
We appreciate it. And we appreciate actually a couple things you said. First of all, when a man keeps his children, he's not babysitting.
No, he isn't. Come on now.
So stop saying I got to babysit. You the daddy.
That's right.
You're not babysitting. Okay, first of all.
That's
okay.
Right. That's right.
I digress. I just went to the Book of Dawn. Let me come back to Maze Jackson. But no truer words have ever been said. Everybody has a role.
So I'll tell you a true story. I have been blessed to be surrounded by some very strong men. And I think a lot of that had influences on the way that I developed and the thoughts that I have. My grandfather taught my grandmother how to cook.
I love that.
Right?
I love that.
And don't get me wrong.
And that goes to everybody has a role.
Everybody has a role. And she did cook. She was the one who cooked on the Sunday dinners, you know. But he taught her how to cook. And so and he cooked as well. So I grew up in a household where my father raised me and we lived with my grandparents. So I have two strong men in that I have examples for. And something that Devin said really stuck out to me because I can remember my father having a conversation. He didn't know how to raise a girl. And he did not know what to tell me, but he said one thing that stood out, and to this day it stands out to me. He said, let me tell you what a reputation is.
Well, there's that.
And he goes,
he knew that part.
He knew that part.
And that, again, everybody has a role.
And he said it will always, whether it's positive or negative, you're going to have one, right?
Absolutely.
And so you want, when people say your name, you want it to be a positive.
Yeah.
Not, let me tell you about, you know. And I always thought about that. And for a girl, right, who, like he said, my dad, I had him wrapped around my finger. Mm-hmm. But I always wanted him to be proud of me.
Sure.
And I think that's where, you know, I am overwhelmed with happy-ness that all of our callers have been men.
That is blessed my whole soul.
My whole soul.
Because that's necessary, right? Whether it makes sense or not, whether some feminists agree or not, we have to validate each other. And we have to coexist for it to be right.
Absolutely.
We definitely have to be accountable in our own spaces. But if we don't give each other the validation, then we lose that sense of protection because then it's a competition and not a cohort.
A partnership.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I think, you know, strong men can help to rear strong women as well. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, you know, strong and I'm traumatized and I can take on the world, but just in I'm confident. And like Doc was saying, I have self-esteem, right? I'm worthy of this. I am somebody and I don't need you to validate that, right? Because I'm able to self-reflect and validate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, let's take
We
these
got another
other
caller?
callers.
Good morning.
What's up, y'all? This Tucson. How y'all doing?
Hey, what's up, brother Tucson?
Light skin.
Hey. I'm usually banned from calling, but I saw y'all was up there, so I wanted to show some love, man.
Thank
you.
Listen,
appreciate you.
I wanted to call y'all and commend y'all for having this conversation, right? I think there's a lot of public discourse around the ills of black men in our communities, but very rarely are women called into question, right? And I think that's important that we had this dialogue. I think the real issue is like a change in the value. Even in the last caller, the brother said something, and it's not to knock the brother down, but he said, I don't want to reduce women to cooking. And this is what I mean when I say we need a change in values. Cooking is not a reduction, right? Cooking leads the health of your family. It's really a power position, right? We got to change our value sets. I think when we think about just our own existence, we're all in an environment that is perpetually created for us to be sick. So to assume that only one party in that environment can be sick is insane. And I just think it's very important that, you all, specifically women, are having this dialogue. And you all said something very important, too, in the fact that it's just been men that's been calling in. And I think that's normalized in the sense that only men, at least in my lexicon, only men are openly having this dialogue about some of the ills that are, being predicated by our sisters. So I really just wanted to applaud y'all for having this conversation.
Thank you so much. And we did it for that reason.
Yes.
Because we're not
doing it. We're not talking.
We're not talking about it.
We're
right.
not. But thank you for saying that cooking is a power position.
I like that.
I do, for this reason. Now I got to go to my doctor, health part.
Okay.
Obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, that's what's killing us.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Silently
violence and things like that are killing us too. But when you look at the top 10 things that are killing Black people, number one is heart disease, right? So you get to chronic illnesses and things first. And so many times I'll talk to, because usually women are the ones who come to the doctor, and I'm like, got to change the way you eat, right? And I'm not that doctor that'll be like, go eat healthy.
Right.
No, I'm going to break it down for you. You need to be eating these kind of things. Let's talk about that. What do you like? How do we make that healthier? Da-da-da-da. So the fact that many people be like, well, I got to cook my food and then I got to cook their food. No.
Yeah.
What is healthy for you
is healthy for them.
For your entire family.
Because, our parents didn't do. You going to eat what I cook, or you're actually going to be hungry.
Exactly. And you even mentioned, that bonding can take place in the kitchen. Like, cooking is an art. It is a love language.
It is a love language.
And it's like, I mean, think about the time you've had something so good. You want, I'm going to smack somebody that's so
right.
good.
My toes are doing this thinking about good food.
Right? So it is a way to bond. And when you do it, when you actually feed people real food,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whole foods, like real, like turnip bottoms and greens.
Yeah.
And you prepare that in a way that gives nutrition, and not like, and I'm not knocking anybody because I'm busy as well too. But, processed and ultra processed foods, which, I could pull out the freezer and pop in that is not cooking.
Yeah.
Right? That's preparing prepared foods. And that doesn't promote the nutrition that our families need. Like, it should be a holistic view of everything. And I thank you, brother, too, because I appreciate that comment.
And I'm going to tell you, my freezer, I like ice cream. So there's ice cream in my freezer. There's always gumbo in my freezer because I cook it a lot.
Yes.
And liquor.
Okay.
Because it doesn't freeze. And it's chilly and you don't need ice. I don't need a big ice cube.
Your kids are out of the house though, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And they're grown. They're 35 and 20 something. But I never really subscribed. My mother never really subscribed to the frozen food thing.
Yeah.
The meals don't have to be elaborate. Mm-mm. I think we confuse cooking with with Thanksgiving dinner.
That's right.
It's not a 3-day prep. It doesn't take that long to cook a meal, even a working mother. Right. Sometimes somebody mentioned in the comments, you have to prioritize. And that's part of your responsibility.
That's right.
In whatever position, if it's the man or the lady, okay, I might not be able to watch my show or read my book, or I might have to read 1 chapter instead of 7 because I need to prepare. And if I know I'm going to be busy, then let me do it now, and they can warm it up. Absolutely.
My favorite thing is the Instant Pot.
I have not learned how to use that mug yet.
I'm going to tell you, it's amazing.
I got the Instant Pot. I got the rice cooker. I got the fryer.
Because you can do things you can do things quickly. And I will say this, and then we can move on because I know we got a couple more callers. But so my son has a particular condition where he needs to eat a good amount of calcium. Like, he really can't eat processed foods or dairy or things like that. So I changed some things in my career to be able to be at home more. Mm-hmm. And we are intentional to eat. We eat greens at least once a week. Oh, I know. But, and people are like, man, you sitting there making greens, and we don't realize, I think, a lot of times the way we prepare food, we're actually cooking out our nutrients. Mm-hmm. So I don't really, boil them all the way down till they get to the, like I made a dish the other day that was literally cut up turnip bottoms, carrots, garlic, and sauteed mustard and turnips, right? Delicious.
Yeah, sauteed is fire.
Oh, and it didn't take that long,
Yeah.
right? And so we have to just get back to the intention of feeding our families for health.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Riis, do we have, yep. Good morning.
Hey, caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think they hung up.
Wonderful
good
show
morning.
today.
Thank you. Who is this?
Good to see. This is Star.
Good morning, Sister Star.
Good morning, Star.
It's great to see you, Dawn, and I'm laughing at that liquor in the freezer. But let me, because I got some too. So, I grew up, I'm over 50, and Saturday mornings, you heard the music, and it was Curtis Mayfield, Move On Up, and Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Wake Up Everybody, and Black Butterfly. And I remember when that song came out, shake your booty. And I was going around the house and shake. And my daddy said, hey.
That's KC and the Sunshine Band. I know that song.
You're not doing that around here.
Right.
And it was just the word booty.
Right.
And I think about some of the things that kids listen to today. And I think a lot of it goes back to our sense of community. I remember Miss Davis lived 4 doors down, and I cut across Miss Davis' yard. And by the time I got to Miss Walden's house, Miss Maddie was looking out her window and said, "You know better than that." Yeah. And by the time I got to my house, my mother was in the side door. And she met me at the door and she said, "Did you cut across Miss Davis' yard?"
Yes, baby. That
and I said, "Well, yeah." She said, "Well, go back down there to Miss Davis' house and let Miss Davis know that for the next week you available to do whatever she needs around her house."
I love that.
And I went back down there, and Miss Davis used me for that week. I was sweeping driveways, picking up leaves, taking out garbage. So I just, and today, like we on Facebook, the kids that grew up on that street, we still know each other. We talk to each other. We know when family members get sick or pass away. And we had a sense of community and respect.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't have that now, that parents, the young parents don't want you saying nothing to their kids. Yeah. And somehow, and I don't have all the answers. I am involved. Somebody mentioned in the chat that Girls Like Me program. I'm involved with the Girls Like Me program. Somehow, we have to get involved and get back to that sense of community that we have, in our community. Black people own stores, Black people own the record store, Black people own the fish market. But we have to get back to where we could walk and have a conversation with the store owner. So I don't know how all of it happens or all of it comes to be, but I applaud you too. It's been a beautiful show. Women working with women. Oh, one more thing. Married to Medicine. I was all excited. Here comes this TV show. Black women, Black doctors, it was a black hot mess.
I will not watch that
and
show.
how you going to take people with medical degrees,
and
professional women, and make them look like fools? So,
ain't easy to do.
We got to fix it.
Start.
Got to fix it.
Thank you, Star.
Listen, thank you so much. So many of the things she said, I was taking notes. Those calls, you off your porch, outside your yard. Your mother is 7 miles away. My mother and my stepfather, may he rest in peace, at the golf course, and I'm off the porch. I'm not outside the gate. I'm off the porch, and the whoopings happened when my mother was bouncing out the car.
Absolutely.
Because
Where did
I
I tell you to sit? Right.
Those calls, I don't even know how they did it. We didn't have cell phones then, and we didn't have text messaging. But that pipeline was real.
Yeah.
And that sense of community, you knew better.
Yeah.
And so you did better.
Absolutely.
We do have to, again, one small seed. Absolutely, there are people that feel like you can't say anything to their kids, not even just your neighbor. They go to the schools and tell the teachers.
Oh, yeah.
And so we just kind of have to meet them where they're at. And every seed isn't, I am a farmer, you a farmer. I'm a gardener, you a gardener. But my seeds aren't your seeds.
That's right.
And so just, I would say, lead with, let God lead you. And if it feels right, do it.
Yeah. And lead by example.
Absolutely.
Right? And just, I don't want to derail us again because I can, but I hate that show, Married to Medicine.
Yeah, it's a mess.
I've
It's
seen it one time,
disrespectful
and that's how, and that's why I won't watch it. To the
study.
profession, it's disrespectful, and to the people.
Yeah.
You know, so 2 quick comments based on what she said. So Married to Medicine is not a great show. I saw 1 episode of it and I said, this is totally unrealistic because you do not get out. I'm just put this out here. You do not get out of residency as a black physician and buy that giant house and take on all that debt because you already have about a $250,000 worth of debt. So let's be real, that's not real. So right. I don't care for it because I think it portrays us in a really negative way and demeans us. And I don't look at things that demean my people. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I don't shop at non-black corner stores. Mm-hmm. Because, and this was something that happened to me when I was growing up. My sister stayed in Wentworth Gardens. Okay. And so it was a corner store right off of
that's 95th.
39th.
39th? Okay.
Down right off the expressway.
Okay.
And so there was a corner store right on the corner, and I would go in there when I would go to her and in her house. Anyway, this man used to hit on me all the time. And I'm a kid. I'm like, 14, 15. This grown non-black man is hitting on me all the time. And I used to, I found that totally disrespectful. And they do it all the time. Mm-hmm. And they do it because they won't disrespect their women. So come on, black women, y'all easy. We know y'all perception. Somebody mentioned that earlier. One of the callers, I think, that was saying like, the portrayal of what they see about us with this music and with all these kind of things. And the fact that you think I'm going to be your gas station baby mama.
Right. Not doing that.
Is a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they really don't.
They don't want to be.
They don't even want your money.
Honestly. They don't. They don't. And so I and I'm intentional about that. I don't allow disrespect of any way.
Well, what she also said that you mentioned earlier is you have to go out your way to support black people.
Yes, you do.
You have to go out of your neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I don't live by this store.
Because the chances are is that there's not one in your neighborhood.
I do not live by 63rd and Racine.
You don't have to be like a crazy maniac doing it, but you definitely owe it to the village.
That's right.
To support the village.
That's right.
In whatever way that works for you. Watching this show, watching this platform, going to the grocery store, the new one that just opened. Melody Winston, my homegirl, has a grocery store. It's not in the city; it's in the mall by the church. But she's a black-owned grocery.
You got to share that with me. Let me just tell y'all my crazy hobby is I like grocery stores.
I do too. You know what?
It's my favorite place.
Yeah.
I hated COVID because it took away my favorite place to go.
What? I think mine is like Walgreens. I like Walgreens. Some about Walgreens, I just want to see every aisle, and I always go in there for like lotion.
You
and
must
come
live
back.
by the good ones because the ones by me had like covers over where you got to ring a bell and tell somebody come give me this deodorant.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm not gonna say where I live because y'all not coming for me because I will. The church is off.
But a grocery store. Gosh.
And then another thing she said, remember Saturday mornings you just get up, you had to clean up?
Man, turn the music on.
There wasn't no run out. You can't go outside. Did you clean up?
That's right.
Like, yeah.
Remember when spring break was cleanup week?
Literally. You think Maze is cleaning up while he on spring break?
Let me see. Is he in the chat? And I say no. Look, but yeah, no, absolutely. I know we got some other callers.
Okay, go ahead.
Keep going. Let's
go.
get these callers off the line.
Before yes.
Come on, caller. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Great show.
Thank you.
Yes. I wanted to respond. This is Rosita, aka Dr. Chitanga. I am calling because I heard some things I want to comment on. The gentleman that called in and talked about afraid of our children, I want to share with the audience this. I taught school for over 25 years in middle school, and I had the opportunity to go into, right before the pandemic, for about 5 years, been one of our favorite non-for-profits, Black United Front of Illinois. And one of the schools that I worked at, when I went there, I mean, I was actually nervous because I see the kids on the bus and, they're kind of scary, like he said. And when I went in with that mentality. But as I was in the school, I learned one thing, and this is what we all have to really get. I was wrong. Our children are not bad. They shocked me in terms of how they responded. And I felt a little bit ashamed of myself because I said, I have 4 children. I make children that look like these children. What is the problem here? We have abandoned our children. We have believed some lies about them, and they know it. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. By the time the pandemic came, I could walk in the lunchroom and I would have bags of stuff I'm taking upstairs, and they would just break and run to me. Can I help you up? And I'm on the 3rd floor now. Can I help you upstairs? And what I realized is that they understood this is someone that cares. This is someone that likes us, and their whole attitude transformed. We got to get back in those schools with our children. They have fired over 14,000 Black educators, daily violence interrupters in our schools. That's one of the reasons why we have a lot of the violence on the street that we do. If you have any kind of degree, I beg you, go into the schools. Work with our children. Let's reach them before it's too late for them and too late for us. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much.
And thank you. Just remember them and the boys. And I love the girl conversation. I have 3 sons and a daughter, and the cooking. Yes, we do the cooking. We do everything with my daughter. I just thank God because I got 1 girl and 3 boys. But thank you so much for having this conversation. I just want to close by saying this to the young women. Start courting again. Stop having sex with strangers. Stop having babies with strangers. We're doing everything too fast, too soon. We need to slow it down and get to know each other before we procreate with each other. But thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. She dropped the mic, right? Let's go. Let's start from the end and go back. That sex thing is a soul tie.
Yes,
and what I learned. Oh, girl, I'm about to stand up and shout. You cannot every soul tie ain't yours. Do you know that literally you will adopt the spirit of that connection, and you will be acting out of stuff that is not in who you were meant to be or your character because you have intimately created a soul tie, and you sometimes don't realize it until years later.
Yeah.
It creates a whole human pain body, a spirit of pain. If you date a boy, you're young, you think you're in love, because love isn't a butterfly.
That's right.
Love is hard. But you do that, and years later, you're trying to figure out why you're unsettled. It's because you're still broken from a tie that you shouldn't have made.
Yeah. Oh, wow. There are a lot of things she said that were so deep.
Like I have, I've looked a couple times, but I'm really not a scary person. But I have looked. But sometimes you just know.
Yeah.
Our children need to know that we love them.
Yes, they do.
Because nobody's born bad.
No. And these schools, I think, that's so important that she even mentioned 14,000 educators are out of the system, right? Because you think about where are our kids? Where can you get their attention? And in the schools is one of those places. They do this social emotional learning and all this stuff now. And I wonder how often those are actually taught by people who look like them or people who share an experience with them. Because there's a difference in that connection.
Absolutely.
Completely, and I think we do need to get back into schools as substitute teachers, but as parent-teacher associations,
Sure.
right? So PTAs and LSEs and all of these things. Because I saw an article the other day. They're putting, like $290 million into Chicago public schools.
Well, any more money? Because wasn't that just the last lotto pot? Like, come on, stop now. Don't get that's a Maze show.
But I know, and I'm gonna let Maze
talk
deal
about
with
that
Talk
lottery
about that,
money,
right? But honestly, if they're putting that in the schools, my question then was, how is it going to be distributed, and what is it going towards, right? Because if it's for salaries, that
doesn't
probably
reach
not
the
gonna trickle
child.
down to the kid,
Absolutely.
right? Absolutely. As opposed to if it's for, I'm bringing in polished pebbles, or I'm bringing in, girls like me,
yeah.
or any of these type of organizations, or even the ones for mentorship for young men, because this show is about women, but when we talk about mentorship, we know like our young men need it as well too. I saw something the other day. I actually sent it to my girlfriends because they have little boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
My son is 13, but they have some little guys, and it was just about like encouraging literacy amongst young boys, Black boys.
We talked off the air about reading.
Yes.
Like, I mean, make your kids. They're your kids. Get off that game. Hand clap. Here's the thing. Hinge off the door. Get off the phone. Get off the text.
Here's a book.
Here's what I don't even allow from some of my friends. You can't text talk me. Like first of all, I don't even know what you're talking about. Somebody sent me CYT. I said, St. I'm trying to, me. I like to write. I'm like, St. What word is that? So I didn't respond because who decided that you can take 3 letters and it means something? Yeah. That could be cat, yellow, tree. Like, and then 2 hours later, I text you. I said, yeah, sit. You text me sit because I'm phonetically trying to say the word. And they say, that meant, can you talk? That's not what it meant to me.
Oh,
Don't text talk me.
I just learned something.
Text me the words. WYD does not mean what you're doing. It means would. Like, I won't allow my kids to do it, my friends. You can't text talk me.
That's right.
You is spelled Y-O-U. The art of dialogue, the conversation, we have to teach them. We have to also teach them to communicate and be effective communicators so that they can tell us when something's uncomfortable.
And I think, and I embrace technology, so I won't say that I don't, but I think we still have to keep some core principles. So like you said, reading in a book, right? So there was just a study that showed people who read a book retain more knowledge than if you read it on a electronic device.
Absolutely.
You don't remember what you read on the electronic device. What you remember is how you got to it. So I remember like my Google search words.
Sure.
Right? As opposed to what the content was. And we have to think about this as we're raising kids who we're like, oh, my kid wants to be a doctor. My kid wants to do this. They're not going to get it by being on this all the time. Like you still have to have some tangible, I read, I highlight, I underline, because I'll tell you, being in medicine, it's a lot to retain.
Yeah.
And if I only retain how to find it, then that's not going to be treating my patient that's across from me. It's going to be you're sitting there and I'm searching what I need to search in order to treat you. And that's not medicine, right? There's an art to it. And if I'm going to really connect with you, I need to look at you. We need to talk about this. I need to be able to give you some knowledge about things. And the only way you do that is, you got to read the book. You got to highlight it. You got to write it out. You got to draw the Krebs cycle. You got to do all that.
Absolutely. Because the like to your point, like the social context of it is the impressions are a million times a day. Yeah. And it's like a marketing. Like, what are you doing to get through the clutter?
Yeah.
When you have to hold that book in your hand and turn those pages, you remember the process.
And that can be such a key thing that women can do. Because even from the beginning, literacy, I used to read to my sister when she was pregnant.
Yeah. Oh,
so
absolutely.
Because I'd be like, he can understand this.
Baby
like, my
sounds,
nephew can absorb this, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think it's really important that, as we were talking about nurturing from the womb forward, that we introduce those things like literacy. And it doesn't mean you have to be reading dissertations to your kids, but you do need to introduce, phonetics and language and vocabulary.
Even front my kids. I was like, with my first daughter, who happy birthday again. She just turned 35 last week.
Happy birthday. She's a March baby too.
She is.
And she a Pisces?
3/17 at 3/17 she was born.
Oh. And she's
Changed
St. Patty's Day, baby.
Yes, she is. Thought the parade was for her because I lied and told her it was until she was about 11. But I never did the baby talk. I never, why? I would watch her.
Yes.
My mother used to say, you think she understands it? She's going to learn it like that. We're not going to have to retrain Wawa to be watcher.
Yeah.
You know, poo-poo. Like, we're going to, I'm going to tell you the words.
Yes.
And you're going to learn those words because because it's too
communicate,
hard to retrain.
and that's
it's too hard to retrain.
If you think about like a lot of, I think we still got some callers. So
Okay,
I'm gonna be quiet. But that's really important because kids need to hear words as they develop because that's how they develop language. I know you've seen this. I've seen it myself where young kids, they can't express themselves and they may be 2 years old and you're like, use your words. Well, if I'm not hearing words talk to me, I'm not going to be able to. Yeah.
Well, if it ain't in there, it can't come out.
And their brains are just such little neuronal connections. Like all of them are being made just
that
over
was a
and over
very
again.
MD word you just said, like vociferous. You said neuronal. I'm like, that sounds like I want to call you and ask for a prescription.
Caller, let's get this caller off the line. Caller.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Don and Dr. Nancy. This is Zaviola. Great conversation,
morning,
knowledge,
Sister
and
Zaviola.
power.
Thank you. Thanks
Good
so much.
morning.
What you got
On
for
another
us,
side
sis?
of this, I'm listening to the confirmation hearings of our sister Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, the Harvard Law School magna cum laude, and also with the African name, her and the dreadlocks. Her parents, both HBCU graduates. Her dad was a lawyer. Her mom, a principal. Now, she's been before the Senate 3 times already.
Sure.
So with these extraordinary qualifications, she's polished, overqualified, still not enough for some. I'm just so impressed by her. So with you 3 women today and Women Month, not to be cliche though, I just wanted to just put that back out there with all the qualifications of this young Black girl who has become a woman, and still all this disrespect for some remain. That's what I wanted to say because I'm so impressed with her and her qualifications. That's it.
Thank you. Good highlight.
Yeah, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
To highlight that, and she seems very, very grounded.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is important.
Yeah, she got the swag shoulder.
Yeah, and we were intentional, Sister Zaviola. We said, you know what, this is Women's History Month.
Absolutely.
And it is, as I shared before, I am born on International Women's Day. And so I always say when people are like, happy birthday, I'm like, happy Women's Day, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I share this with all of the women in the world. And although, even though we had that little conversation earlier that maybe all women don't always connect in the same, it is with all the women in the world. And so that's important. And I think we should support our sister as she goes up. I think that they did her disservice. This is my own opinion. I didn't like the fact that they were like, oh, we're going to choose a Black woman because she's way more qualified than, and not that just being a Black woman isn't qualified, but you're choosing a qualified candidate who is a Black woman.
Yeah.
And, they I think so often, like that Married to Medicine and all that stuff, like they belittle us into these like, oh, you get, you a Black this or that, and it's like, yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I am, and I'm gonna always have my fist in the air, right? But I'm qualified, and often more qualified than you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do that's
we?
A whole nother study. It's more
do
callers.
We have
3 more.
Ooh,
okay.
All right.
Ooh, I'm a really
We're gonna knock
quiet,
these
child.
out.
We're gonna knock these out because we got 10 minutes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Audrey. Good morning, Booker Don. Thank you for this conversation this morning. This is Cassandra. How are you?
Hey, Cassandra.
Well, how are you? Thank you for calling and supporting.
Wonderful. I want to stay on the men. because the men that called in this morning, I want to thank them. They're not always a part of the conversation and add to it, and I want to thank them for braving that. And the reason why Tyrone Muhammad's numbers were so high yesterday was because he was a unicorn. We don't see 4 gorgeous men on TV talking intelligent and giving us answers, right? So we were
mesmerized. I hear that, sis.
Yeah, that's true. He did that.
He did that thing. Yeah.
Yes. And the reason I stay on the men is because we have to lift them up, right? It's so out there before they leave their home that's going to tear them down.
Yeah,
that's true.
And I fortunately was raised for a short time by my stepfather. I didn't know my biological father. I was the baby of 6 kids from my biological father and mother's marriage, right? My mother divorced when I was like 9 months. My stepfather, Lord rest his soul, came into my life when I was 3. Now, what men don't understand is that you are our first example. When you are in the home, you are an example. He showed me from 3 till God took him home when I was 12. He showed me what a man looked like. I still have that ingrained in my head today, what a real man looked like. For this man to marry a woman, not to mention my mother was gorgeous. I think she tricked him, didn't tell him she had all these kids at home. But to marry a woman with 6 kids, that means he had 7 mouths to feed before he put his feet under the table.
Come on now.
And he did. He worked. He brought home the money. He bought us a house, took us out of a studio apartment into a full-blown house. He cooked when it rained outside. He was a foreman for the city of Chicago. He went to work with a suit on, a foreman. He's out there laying asphalt. He went to work with a suit on and a briefcase. I got his briefcase to this day. He showed me what a man looked like. That was amazing. And I based every guy that I look for based on that image, right?
Absolutely.
So fast forwarded to make a long story even longer. To fast forward to my sons, I have 2 sons. I can't teach them how to be a man, but I can teach them how to treat a woman. And I'm going to teach you how to treat a woman. I'm going to help you decode what the woman is going through and how you can help her, right? I have a daughter. I teach my daughter through example. I am her example. So when I leave my house, I am representing my children. I want my children to be proud of me. So the outside world benefits from why I'm doing what I do because I'm doing it because I want my kids to be proud of me, right?
Absolutely.
So it's so important that we uplift our men, we watch our language, we breathe life into them through our words. And our children, we have to, it starts at home.
Yes,
it literally starts at home. Thank you guys for this conversation.
Thank you so much.
It is so needed.
Thank you. Thanks for calling.
Want to go ahead?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you for calling.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello?
Yeah.
How you doing? This is Edward C. This is Edward C. from Dalton.
Edward.
Yes. I was calling. I've been Trustee Edward C. from Dalton. I've been in and out the conversation this morning, but I don't want to say, I went to go see Dr. Audrey Tanksley at the spot, and it was so refreshing to sit down with a doctor that you trusted, that you know is not going to give you no BS, or you're not going to give you the whole, you question, I hate to say nowadays, you question everybody.
True.
But I trusted what she gave me. It was a balance of medicine and a balance of natural. It was so refreshing to go, because I have multiple sclerosis, and it was so refreshing to sit down with her and talk to her. I text her, hey, I got this going on. I hope I don't bother her too much, but it's been a great thing. Another thing I want to talk about is the importance of women. I was blessed to have another baby right before COVID. And COVID allowed, he was on December 29th, right before COVID hit. But I got a chance to sit down and see him grow for the first 2 years of his life. Yeah. And when I say the woman, like my wife, it's amazing the stuff that God put in women for children. Because the early part of the baby, women are God for children.
Yeah. Daddy's like, hey, I'm over here. He don't care nothing about me at an early age. All they care about is mom. Yeah. So I saw kind of nation that says, you teach a woman, you teach a nation. The woman is so important. Like the brother said earlier, I think Tusaw said, the kitchen or the food is a power position. So it's so important. It's amazing the natural nurturing that you have and that God put in y'all. That my wife has never been a mother before children, and to see that naturally come out of her without no preparation, without no schooling, it's just naturally in women. And it's amazing. We can just sit back and watch. We just have to provide the environment so they can be at home and do this stuff. But that's the importance of women. But when we work together, it's not, now I know in society we like to put the man over the woman over the man. But when we work together in our natural roles, it works out great. Absolutely. So I just wanted to say that y'all been really inspirational. I've been in and out the conversation.
Thank you.
Dr. Tanksley, thank you so much for helping me with my health.
Absolutely.
And everybody, you can go to see. I think y'all took Blue Cross Blue Shield. They took my insurance. So it's wherever y'all get to. Thank you so much. It's so refreshing to go to a doctor's trust.
Well, I appreciate that. And and a lot of people probably don't know that I am one of the founding board members of a community wellness clinic
I love that.
In Woodlawn on 67th, and it's called Salam Community Wellness Center, and that is exactly
Google
what, brother. You better
in your search words. Do we have any more callers? One more. We'll take one more, and then we gotta we don't want Maze to come in here and get us and kick us out.
Right. We got 3 minutes.
He ain't gonna kick y'all out because it's Jeanette on the phone.
Hey, what's up, sis? I need you to DM me.
You know I wasn't gonna let this day go by. I will. You know I wasn't gonna let this day go by without calling in to say hello and good morning, and to my two favorite people, who I am just totally inspired by, and I am so unapologetic of telling anybody that. But settle down today and just sprinkle all the little magic that we have been blessed with around today for the past 3 hours. What I do want to say is that even if people don't want to be mentors, and we see our young sisters out here, right, doing things that we don't think are couth or tactless, say a prayer for them.
Yeah.
Pray that they see the light.
Yeah.
Because at one point we all weren't in a position to look down on anybody. Yeah. And that's all that matters. We have to pray that God shows them something that will make them turn it around. Because I'm thankful for whoever was watching over me and praying over me for me to see some sort of light or blessing to be able to be a blessing today for somebody else. But that's just all I wanted to say. Because at 41, I'm still aspiring to be better and to be just a better person overall. Who doesn't want to be better in this day and age? Especially with everything that's going on and that's happening and that's not happening.
Absolutely.
But you two are definitely the people to start that process, and I'll be right behind y'all following and cheering as we go. I love y'all.
I love you too,
Boo. Yes.
Dope.
And you know what she said is so true. I think, and I am just going to say this because I pray that nobody took anything today as looking down on our sisters who are not in this space. Because I think
that wasn't the intention.
The intention, and just as she said, is actually to embrace.
Yeah.
Right. And if that embrace isn't a direct conversation, it absolutely can be a prayer, know, because, we all had some praying grandmas or somebody that was praying.
Backstory is prayer was a part of the decision to do this.
Yes.
And so I am the more blunt big sister. I'm going to be unapologetic about sometimes truth hurts. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about growing pains and labor. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel good all the time to grow, but it's necessary.
Yes, indeed.
And it's a safe space because everybody's opinion is welcome. Everybody's knowledge is welcome. We just want to be able to start the conversation.
That's right. And we've all had our moments and had to walk in a space to get to this point, right? Mm-hmm. Like, even when we were talking in show prep, and I was like, yeah, because some days I'm righteous and some days I'm ratchet.
Baby, right, fresh out the church building listening to Pac. You feel me?
Look, God, I'm
me
sorry.
on my job.
But that's true, and I think that we have to still show each other how we can do that and still thrive as a community, right? And like every caller said, thank you guys for calling.
Thank you,
guys
John Austin, for tuning in. And listen, grace.
Yes.
Grace is the word of the rest of this day.
Yes,
because
indeed.
that's really what Janessa said in a nutshell. We have to have grace. I want y'all to remember two things before we get out of here. God created the earth first, and then he put us in it.
There you go.
So the answers are there. But it does take an entire village. It takes real, truthful, hard conversations, a lot of love, and a lot of grace to get where we need to go. Thank you, Maze.
And checking your ego.
Please,
there's
at the
no
door.
At the door, right? Yeah.
Maze, thank you for letting the women take over.
Yes, thank you. And
it was
thank you
great
for bringing this together.
Yeah,
This was so organic.
It was exactly what we hoped for.
Yes.
Thank you for all the callers. I don't know that on the Book of Dawn show I ever had 100 people for 3 hours.
Come on,
So now I'm in my feelings. But no, I'm just kidding.
It's the lights.
Right, it's the lights. What does Maze say at the end of his show? Before I say that, I'm going to say, remember to lead with love.
Yeah.
Do something for somebody other than yourself.
There you go.
And I always say roll tide.
Look at you. You're right.
I'm just saying that. Look up, make sure
Salam Community Wellness Center. So it's actually Salam, like peace. So SALAAM CWC.org.
And then check out some of those girls' organizations.
Please do.
Do your part.
Yeah.
Little, big, it all matters.
And I think we will do something.
I think
this.
we
got something that we gonna plan around this. So y'all just look out. Y'all might see some more Dr. Dawn and
because I'm already about to get my cards ordered. What does May say at the end?
He says
something.
If you don't like it.
Well, how does that start? Give me that the start.
What is it, Riis?
I know it. I know this by heart. I do this.
Well, for Maze, Riis, Ruthie.
Okay.
There you go.
So for Maze, for Riis, for Dr. Audrey and Dawn,
and Ruthie, who's not here.
And Ruthie, who's not here. What's the rest? Sharks.
I am the host.
I am your host. Not really. Sitting in Maze Jackson. And if you don't like it, you can still tell him.
Tell him.
You can still tell him.
Tell him.
Hold on, I got to do my offbeat dance like Maze. Go. No, he can't dance. My air guitar. That's what. You can still tell him. Maze said, we out of here.
Peace.
Live from your studio. You're listening to Book of
That
Dawn.
was hilarious.
Let's get down to business and go ahead and address the facts, man. Lightfoot seems more lesbian than black. Rahm Emanuel's another case. He was just as tired. 50 closed schools left much to be desired. Police had Anjanette naked on that body cam. They suppressed the footage so it couldn't touch a lot of hands. Reminds me of that 16 shots in that cover-up. Both of them similar, so I went and dug it up. George Floyd killed, a lot of riots happened in the town. Southside burned and they wouldn't let them bridges down. Grandmother sick, need a prescription and plus a couple groceries.